Chapter 516, Third Master Han. Chapter 516, Third Master Han. Third Master Han, our sect found the herb first. What is the meaning of your presence here? Are you trying to steal it? The leader of the mystical heaven sects group was a charming and valiant girl. Her eyebrows delicate, her eyes pure, complementing her beauty and tenderness, but the fire in her worked as a deterrence, especially that ancient jade sword. Unleashing a chilling and sharp sword intent, even sheathed none from the demon soul sect met her gaze, afraid the sword intent might split their heads open on contact. One feminine man, with a sneer and sinister air, had no qualms about facing off. Jade Sword Fairy of mystical heaven sect, Shui Ruohua, is worthy of her reputation, even unpolished can exude her brilliance. Sword still in its sheath, yet the sword intent can cripple one's heart. I bow before the master. Enough patronizing. Do you give up the spiritual herb or not? Shui Ruohua spat. Young Master Han smirked. Spiritual herbs have no owner, belonging to the one who can get it first. Why should we give it to you? Then again, dual cultivation in the company of Fairy Ruohua might give me pause. Swine. Shui Ruohua blushed and her sword came out the sheath. Waves of light and sword energy flashed about as it whistled for Han Sanshao like a dragon. Anyone struck by it would find himself an extra large breathing hole from up above. Shuo Fan lauded her in silence. Women like her are quite rare, unleashing such a sharp sword strike. She's just like that sword fanatic, Xie Tianshang. I bet she's a real feisty one even casually. Yet no matter how good the attack was, with her being in the 5th layer of Radiant stage and him in the 7th, it wouldn't hit anything if he had some skills as well, to say nothing of the danger. It only got worse from here. By unleashing such a strong attack, she left herself open for a killing blow. Shuo Fan sighed. Sure as he lived. Han Sanshao laughed at the incoming sword, reacting with a palm attack. Great timing. Since Fairy Ruohua has no qualms, neither will I. A 2-meter-tall scarlet palm shot in front of him. High profound martial art, soul-seeking scarlet palm. With a muffled sound, the sword and the scarlet hand clashed into a deadlock. Shui Ruohua lapsed for a second, then gnashed her teeth as she pushed the sword forward harder while Han Sanshao waved and the palm split into countless stars. Hammering Shui Ruohua's body being so close didn't give her room to react. She was flung away and spat dark blood. Senior sister. Her group shouted while the demon soul sect side snickered. Han Sanshao mocked, Jade Sword Fairy, your sect is but a low-ranked one while ours is a mid-level sect. We are better than you in every way, be it martial arts or cultivation methods. You've seen it yourself. So walk away, knowing your limits, and not fight us over the herb. So what if you got dibs? In this world, power is everything. Everything belongs to the winner. Han Sanshao snorted up on the vantage point. The 4 scheming demons laughed inside and nodded. The dumb broad is toast, hey. She asked for it, going against a demonic cultivator. Violent demon laughed at her expense. Sly demon giggled, that's not all. If the young leader from the demon soul sect took her away to dual cultivate, that old foggy from mystical heaven sect would choke on it. Hi. True. The rest bobbed their heads excitedly. Shuo Fan asked, do you mean to say demon scheming sect and mystical heaven sect are bitter enemies? Why do I get the feeling that you want mystical heaven sect to suffer a worse fate? Nope, we can't stand either of them, but mystical heaven sect is on the righteous path. As demonic cultivators, we want nothing more than to see them squirm. Ha. Violent demon laughed. Shuo Fan shook his head. Be that as it may, such a course of action was born out of ignorance. Tallying everything up, one looked at the profits and not one's alignment. All to further one's self-interests. Yu Ming escaped the interests of his house to achieve what he was now, standing shoulder to shoulder with the likes of Zhuge Changfeng and Leng Wuchang. If all of the demon scheming sect was so narrow-minded, its future was hopeless. With a faint sound, Shui Ruohua leaned on her sword to stand, watching the herb with a killing gaze. Again, Shui Ruohua lifted her sword with gnashed teeth, facing Han Sanshao again. Han Sanshao frowned. You've lost, going further will mean death. Is that what you want? Humph, hand over the herb or take my life. Shui Ruohua's eyebrows shook, filled with unwillingness. The life of my young master depends on that herb. I must have it. Han Sanshao mocked, oh, that retard. Ha, death suits him better. What's a born cripple like him still living for, taking up space? Shut up. I won't let anything happen to my dear brother. Shui Ruohua stomped as she thrust her sword. Her attack this time was far weaker, not even a tenth of the first. The wounds were taking their toll on her. Han Sanshao waved in mockery and unleashed a gale with a loud sound. Shui Ruohua flew and spat blood again. Her eyes were desperate and hopelessly in tears. Little brother, forgive me. I can't protect you. Pa. At this particular moment, her body stopped, feeling a strong arm holding her. But what came into sight was a foreign face. Yuri. Shui Ruohua spoke weakly. Zhuofan smiled. We don't know each other. It's just that Miss Character is very much like someone I know. Zhuofan was reminded of Chu Qingcheng and her desperate attempts to save drifting flowers edifices. He sighed. You're so much alike, I'm sure you'd be close friends. Shui Ruohua frowned, not understanding any of his words. Hi. Creepy laughter announced the arrival of 4 black trails of smoke. The 4 scheming demons were standing there while cackling. Ha. When 2 fight, the 3rd wins. You guys continue, while the demon scheming sect takes the 9th grade herb. He. The demon scheming sect. Shui Ruohua was on guard around Zhuofan, pushing away from him in a rush. Han Sanshao raised an eyebrow at the 4, demon scheming sect. A herb was discovered, yet here are 3 great sects fighting over it. Things sure got interesting. Zhuofan smiled and shook his head at the demons. You 4, repeat what you said. The spiritual herb is ours. Right, Steward Zhuo? Violent demon beamed. The resounding crack on his face was Zhuofan's answer, along with a serious tongue lashing. Of course, right, your rotten head. You've been around me for so long and you can't even tell that much about me. Is a 9th grade herb worth fighting for? Are you beggars? Zhuofan's shout echoed around the gorge and the demons looked down with crestfallen faces. While Mystical Heaven sect and Demon Soul sect grimaced. Who the heck is he? Are you calling us beggars? Is that it? Han Sanshao's smile iced over. Since when did Demon Scheming sect got so tough, so rich, that even a 6th layer of Profound Heaven disciple spits on a 9th grade herb? That would mean we, the mid-level Demon Soul sect, should be currying favor with the Demon Scheming sect. Moneybags, let's be friends. Han Sanshao patronized and the rest of the Demon Soul sect party laughed. Where the hell did he crawl out of? He's putting up such an exaggerated show, no one'll believe him. 9th grade herb aside, the entirety of Western lands had no sect that outstanding, but the 4 scheming demons knew something they didn't as they saw the unfazed mocking smile on Zhuofan's Steward Zhuo. Since you don't want it, what did we run over here for? Couldn't we just watch the live show? Violent Demon asked, holding his burning cheek. Zhuofan smiled as he pointed at Shui Ruohua. I came here for one reason, to save her. All stood speechless. Since when did the Demon Scheming sect's people save Mystical Heaven sects? Whenever the 2 sides met, there was bound to be an altercation. Shui Ruohua was just as stunned, but blushed at his hard gaze, her heart jumping around inside. What is he trying to pull? Chapter 517. Who leans on whom? Chapter 517. Who leans on whom? Clap tilde. Han Sanshao had a savage look as he watched Zhuofan with a light clap. Oh, a hero in shining armor. And here I thought some reject had jumped in. That being said, you must have good taste like mine to set your eyes on such a fine fairy for dual cultivation. Demon Soul sect sighed. Snickered. Shui Ruohua grew angry as she watched the 2 with her guard up and her heart stuck in her throat. They're both the worst. If worse comes to worst, I would rather kill myself than let them touch me. Those on Mystical Heaven sect side were all keyed up, their brows soaked in sweat. What rotten luck, meeting 2 demonic sects and both are enamored by senior sister's looks. Her killer body is going to kill us all. Zhuofan eyed them coldly before stopping on Han Sanshao with a smile. All I want is easy, save the girl and take the herb. If you have your head on straight, you'd scatter this instant before you regret it. Regret it? Ha. Who will make me regret it, you? Just a 6th layer of Profound Heaven cultivator. Han Sanshao had heard the joke of the century, laughing harder. Looking closer at Zhuofan's party, something clicked in him and he mocked. Are you Xie Wu's son? Being all cocky in the sect and now you've come out to die. Didn't your dad ever tell you to keep your head down? Mystical Heaven sect side was filled with doubt. Demon Scheming sect leader has a son? They were both Qianyu's 3 guardian sects, so how come they've never heard of him? Zhuofan chuckled. What gave you that idea? It's those 4 little freaks behind you. They're in the 6th layer of Radiant stage, elders or executives of the sect. They'd never show such respect to just any disciple. Han Sanshao put on a prideful look, having seen it all, yet a profound heaven disciple like you berated and slapped them and yet they showed no anger. It's clear as day that you're above them in the sect. The only possibility for a profound heaven disciple to piss on Radiant stage experts is if you were sect leader's son. Han Sanshao's analysis was so damn logical even mystical heaven sect side watched Zhuofan speechless. He must be Xie Wu's son after all. But why haven't we ever heard of him? Demon scheming sect sure knows how to work in secret. Zhuofan only smiled and sighed. It made so much sense that even Zhuofan would reach the same conclusion if the roles were reversed, with how profound heaven cultivators putting Radiant stage experts in their place were scarcer than a hen's teeth. The only thing that fits here besides second-hand power was true personal strength, but that was way too outrageous. And yet that's how Zhuofan had been operating and getting wins, leaning only on his own 2 hands scratching his nose. Zhuofan smiled. Judging by appearances, I see. But that's fine, as long as it gets the job done and you won't butt in, I won't care. Zhuofan walked over to the herb with a carefree look, as if everyone present was beneath him. He never considered anyone there a roadblock. Cruising over to fetch the herb, Shui Ruohua watched Zhuofan swagger on like a hot shot, big shot and the like. And all she could react with was a dumb look. Zhuofan's attitude was unlike the hostile demonic cultivators, while also filled with a greater calm than your average person. Han Sanshao's eyes went cold and his mouth formed a sneer. It all makes sense now, why Xie Wu's son wasn't known. He's not worth anything. A demonic cultivator and yet not one demonic bone in his back makes him a garbage. Someone go out there and teach this nobody a lesson. Yes, sir. A tough guy with thick arms cupped his hands as his aura exploded with the power of a 9th layer profound heaven stage whoosh tilde. The guy flashed in Zhuofan's face and punched while ridiculing. Ha ha ha, dumb brat, this is what you get for looking at young master's possession and girl. Die. Hi hi hi, death begets all who mess with our steward Zhuo. With a creepy laughter, 4 smoke trails came from behind Zhuofan. The big guy jerked, finding himself pulled by his limbs in 4 directions. Following the cackle, 4 bloody parts dyed the ground with blood and gore. Mystical heaven sect's brows shook, scared by a little blood and guts. Who the hell are they? It's too savage even for a demonic cultivator, yet these 4 have no qualms doing it. We get that you want to save your boss kid, but that guy was just a profound heaven cultivator. Isn't it just a little bit overkill for 4 Radiant stage experts to tear him apart? This was 4 scheming demons' nature, not giving a hoot about the other side's level or numbers. We 4 have always worked together. What? Got a problem? Bring it, if you have the guts. Han Sanshao barked. Such valor from demon scheming sect, killing someone from the demon soul sect. You 4 are dead. Han Sanshao shot for them. 4 scheming demons snickered, turning into smoke. 4 Radiant stage experts in the 6th layer were about to fight one in the 7th layer, but 4 scheming demons' eerie moves and combined form had them on the advantage. Han Sanshao sensed the strangeness of the enemy yet snickered. That form is just like my sect's shadow array. If you think you can beat me with just that, think again. 7th grade demonic treasure, soul spider net. Han Sanshao flicked something grey at the 4 pygmies. It unveiled itself to their shock and trapped all 4 of them tight. Not even as smoke could they get out, and the net kept tightening, sticking the 4 close to each other so hard they couldn't even breathe. Steward Zhuo, save us. This thing is wicked. The pygmies wailed their distress and begged as the pain mounted and the net shrank. Ha ha ha, Han Sanshao mocked. Some 6th layer Radiant stage experts you are, begging a profound heaven cultivator for help. Ha ha ha, this is too funny. Laugh it up. Messing with us means messing with Steward Zhuo. And messing with Steward Zhuo will have your head rolling. Ha ha ha, violent demon cackled. Despite his plight his brothers copied him, knowing full well that Zhuofan had their backs. And that was all they needed. The only way to get these 4 to truly beg for life with snot on their faces was if he lost as well. Zhuofan was their thick leg, their tree, their rock. Han Sanshao frowned. Contrary to his belief, the 4 pygmies weren't Zhuofan's bodyguards. The norm would be to beg for life, be stubborn till death or urge their young master to flee, Why then are these guys not one bit afraid, not for them or for the young master? They aren't worried at all. The muffled sound roused Han Sanshao from his thoughts to see Zhuo Fan wearing the same cocky look on his stroll for the herb. The hell? He doesn't care about the fight he just got out of, or that the four are trapped. Han Sanshao's suspicions of Zhuo Fan only grew and grew. In this case there are only two possibilities. He's either an ignorant fool, blind to danger, or of such a stable mind, not even the crumbling world could faze. The latter makes him a tough adversary. Han Sanshao stood still as he saw Zhuo Fan take the herb with a smile and then walk back to Shui Ruohua. It was the same casual gait, same poise, like the world wasn't even there. The mood grew odd, with the audience too tense to twitch. Only Zhuo Fan was walking calmly. Demon Soul Sect watched Han Sanshao with a questioning gaze. Young master, are you just going to ignore his blatant disregard of us? Han Sanshao never left Zhuo Fan out of his sight. Unable to come up with a way to deal with this situation, Zhuo Fan was just too freaky in his demeanor, throwing all his thinking into disarray while Shui Ruohua had a dull look, bearing a faint smile, and her heart was a mess. Just what is this demonic cultivator up to? Chapter 518, She's very well. Chapter 518, She's very well. You want this herb? Dangling the herb in Shui Ruohua's face, Zhuo Fan smiled. With how hard you fought for it, you must have wanted it. Shui Ruohua stared at him, on high alert. What do you want? Clever, there's no free lunch in the world. You always have to pay something when you want something. Zhuo Fan roamed his eyes over her, truly alike. Eyes going red, Shui Ruohua faltered back. Her mouth was bloody, her cheeks pale, but her eyes still glared. Demonic cultivator scum, keep dreaming. Don't think you can just have your way with me. Mystical Heaven Sect stared at Zhuo Fan as well. Ha ha ha, even your temper is the same, just as stubborn. Zhuo Fan ignored everything and only smiled. Miss, I have no intention to dual cultivate with you, nor bear any ill will. I only have some questions. I hope you'll be honest in exchange for the herb. Shui Ruohua gave him a long look. Zhuo Fan's courteous manner was unlike any demonic cultivator she knew, earning some brownie points but also suspicion. Is he even a demonic cultivator? Zhuo Fan smiled. I'll take Miss Silence as agreement. Who said? Zhuo Fan's question cut her off. Pardon me, miss, but does your sect have someone called Chu Qing Cheng, hailing from Tianyu's Drifting Flowers edifices? Shui Ruohua nodded. Junior sister Qing Cheng is master's new disciple and she does come from Tianyu. Do you know her? Ha ha ha, so she really is in Mystical Heaven Sect. Zhuo Fan beamed. Then, how is she? Zhuo Fan's heart tensed at the question, hanging on Shui Ruohua's reply. He hid his impatience well, but not from a woman's intuition. Shui Ruohua was troubled, nodding. Shui Ruohua said, Junior sister is master's last disciple and is always taken care of. She is very well. Great. Zhuo Fan eased a breath, feeling a weight off his shoulders. If Chu Qing Cheng was having a bad time in Mystical Heaven Sect, he'd be feeling guilty. He finally calmed down, handing over the herb. Zhuo Fan smiled. Thank you. This is for you. Shui Ruohua couldn't believe her eyes. He was serious about wanting only answers in exchange for the 9th grade herb, to say nothing about how common knowledge the information he asked was. He only wanted to know about her junior sister. Shui Ruohua asked, Who are you? What is your relation to junior sister Chu? That is not your concern, miss. You don't need to know about me, and you'd best keep silent about our talk around her as well. The deal is done, so take the herb and go. Zhuo Fan shooed her, his expression flat. What's with him changing tunes so fast? He was so polite a second ago yet is so indifferent now. Just over some questions? Shui Ruohua was puzzled. Even as she got it right, Zhuo Fan got what he wanted and had shirked all pretenses. Han Sanshao laughed. What are you two whispering about over there? In the end, strength is all that matters. Who's going to stop me from getting what I want anyway? Shui Ruohua tensed up, her mood heavy. Right. They only got the herb because Han Sanshao never interfered. Now that he would, she could kiss the herb goodbye, but he'd have another thing coming if he thought she'd just hand it over. Everyone looked at each other in hesitation, sighing. Zhuo Fan scratched his nose. One should know his limits and not jump all over the place without power. Zhuo Fan now walked towards Han Sanshao, same old prancing, causing Han Sanshao to turn solemn for some odd reason. He felt put off by a sixth layer of profound heaven cultivator. Kid, you took the words right out of my mouth. Without strength, you'd better stop bouncing around. It's more apt in your case than theirs. Han Sanshao probed. Shuofan mocked, you've got it all wrong. It's not for them but you. Cocky prick. Han Sanshao unleashed his soul power at Shuofan while shouting, what could a puny profound heaven cultivator possibly teach me? Shuofan's mouth perked up into a smirk, releasing a soul attack. Bam! The air around the clash shimmered, with Han Sanshao faltering 5 steps and looking at Shuofan like he was a monster. Shuofan never even budged from his place, bearing the same obnoxious attitude. There's no way a mere profound heaven cultivator's soul is stronger than a 7th layer radiant stage expert like me. It makes no sense. Han Sanshao was dumbstruck, as were the rest. Who the hell is this kid? A profound heaven expert using his soul like a radiant stage expert was rare enough, but for him to even punch above his weight. Ignoring the weird looks he always seemed to get, Shuofan got to the trapped scheming demons and smiled. Soul spider net, made of a spiritual beast soul to target souls. These shits were bound to be caught, ha ha ha. Steward Shuo, save us, please. The pygmies whined. Han Sanshao gnashed his teeth. That's a 7th grade demonic treasure only I can control. Ha ha ha, arrogant, narcissistic and shameless to boot. Shuofan threw in there, once you know it's made of souls to capture souls, removing it is easy even without knowing the signs. Shuofan's fingertip released an azure flame. He flicked and the azure flame fell on the net with a beastly cry, wails and crackling of fire. The net snapped apart. The 4 scheming demons cackled at their newfound freedom. Hi hi hi, ignorant little gnat, told you so. No one can match our steward Shuo. Violent demon skipped around. The other 3 joined the mockery. Han Sanshao was bug-eyed. His dear 7th grade demonic treasure had snapped like a twig. Not that he had any clue about Azure Flame's soul supremacy. As his demonic treasure was made from a beast soul, the flame had no trouble ruining it. Han Sanshao squinted, glaring at Shuofan. Damn brat, faking weakness. I underestimated you. But now I will show you my true power. What it means when they say that the world will always have someone better than you. Is that so? Shuofan patronized, lifting his right arm as it glowed in a ghastly red. I have no interest in fighting you, but you better remember this and never step out of line. Shuofan flicked his hand. A red light flashed in everyone's eyes, followed by a kaboom as the world shook. Rocks were flying, dust was picking up, just like the end of days as the earth swayed under their feet. The audience had to focus to stay steady yet failed miserably, collapsing in tears. What the hell? It was the unanimous thought, scrambling all over the place for cover as the earth settled at long last and the dust cleared. The scene had their eyes pop out of their sockets, their frail hearts stuck in their throats. The tiny gorge they were in now sported a 1,000-meter-long scar, while the center was a black abyss and its edges, worlds apart. Han Sanshao, on one side of the abyss, felt weak in the knees, looking at Shuofan as if he was a monster. Where the hell did he come from? He's not human. He was lucky that Shuofan didn't attack, or he'd be insta-killed. Recalling his previous taunt, Han Sanshao was seething with regret. He realized Shuofan was talking about him when he spoke of not having strength. Yet he still challenged the guy, only to have a brush with death himself in the end. Shuofan said flatly, yours truly is not Xie Wu's son. I am cocky enough because I am strong enough. Cross this line and your head will roll. Han Sanshao cried inside, panicking. You dare kill to Demon Soul Sect's young leader, inviting a sect war? Han Sanshao wanted to use his sect to threaten Shuofan in a futile attempt to preserve a modicum of self-respect, but Shuofan wasn't buying it. Dead men can't snitch. With Shuofan's trademark evil smile back on his face, he scared the living daylights out of Han Sanshao. His meaning was crystal clear. If I wanted to kill you, you'd all be dead. How would you snitch to your sect, when a flick from me will have you all pulverized, with Demon Soul Sect none the wiser? Han Sanshao was soaked with sweat and he felt horror like no other. This is a demon among demons. Not showing off, just using simple words to plunge others into hell. Chapter 519, Entering Demon Scheming Sect. Chapter 519, Entering Demon Scheming Sect. Using the same light step and indifference, Shuofan flew away, with the 4 scheming demons cackling behind him. Shui Ruohua had a dull gaze watching him leave, her heart thumping. Who is he? One mystical heaven sect came over, still shaking from fear. Senior sister, his terrifying At least he had no ill will towards us, or we'd be goners. Yeah. Another disciple nodded. To think demon scheming sect has such a horrifying disciple with power beyond his cultivation. We best return and meet with our fellow disciples to warn them. On the off chance that any of us meet that kid, the first thing to do is to run. The others echoed his sentiments. Shui Ruohua watched the skies, still out of sorts, oblivious to their talks. Who is he? What is he to junior sister? Senior sister? The cry woke her from her stupor to see a disciple panicking as he pointed at the demon soul sect on the other side of the abyss. Han Sanshao is getting up. Shui Ruohua saw Han Sanshao leaning on another disciple, watching her with malice. Shui Ruohua held the herb tight, her heart on guard for any movement, though Han Sanshao just got his feet under him. As he looked at the scar just ahead of him, it filled him with fear and he gave up, shouting, "Let's go." Han Sanshao's team was soon gone. Mystical Heaven sect breathed easier. Though they wondered, Han Sanshao has always been brutal in his ways, so how come he's just letting us have the herb? Is the world ending? Fool, isn't it obvious? That freak from demon scheming sect just warned him not to cross the line. So of course he won't, not if he wants to keep his head. The others laughed, but the same guy frowned still. But, didn't he just leave? What's there to fear? He might have left, but his deterrence remained. Shui Ruohua sighed. This is a clash of powerful men. You won't understand. Yet this man's simple words had demon scheming sect's third young master shaking in fear about crossing the line. Demon scheming sect now has an unapproachable man. The disciples recalled the man's flick of the hand, unleashing a gulf between the parties, and their hearts sank. Will he become our enemy? Meanwhile, Zhuo Fan and the pygmy quartet rushed for demon scheming sect. Violent Demon went before him saying, "Steward Zhuo, why did you save that lass? Did she catch your eye?" As if, I only wanted to know about Mystical Heaven sect. Zhuo Fan snorted. Violent Demon nodded. Then why did you let the prick from Demon Soul sect go? It's not like sir at all. Are you calling me a born homicidal maniac? Glaring at the four, he continued, he belongs to a great sect. One needs to think of the consequences before crossing the point of no return. Scaring him was enough. While I threatened with obliteration to keep it quiet, no secret stays hidden forever. Unless forced to, I will never go down this road. The four nodded, with Violent Demon giggling. Steward Zhuo's manner has always been flawless, considering every aspect, ha ha ha. No wonder sir caught sect leader's eye, wanting you so bad. Yep. Yep, his brothers echoed, sucking up to the guy. Zhuo Fan shook his head then frowned. I just heard him say something about the middle three sects and lower three sects. What's that all about? Ooh. The four choked, then sighed as their glee made way for sadness. Zhuo Fan was baffled. Violent Demon finally opened his mouth. Steward Zhuo, it's best if you never mention it, or you'll suffer so bad that not even sect leader could help. What? Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow. Violent Demon sighed. The Western lands have 10 sects. Leaving the apex Double Dragon Manor aside, the rest are split into the superior, the middle and the lower three sects. The greater the power of a sect, the more pull and resources it has. Demon Soul sect belongs to the middle three sects, while Demon Scheming sect and Mystical Heaven sect are from the lower three sects. So each time our disciples meet them, we all feel lacking and get picked on. Yeah, and that time 60 years ago was the worst. In that fight, us four worked together and were even winning. Only for Scrooge Demon to break formation for some demonic treasure, and we ended up losing instead. That's why sect leader threw us in the Thunder Swarm Mountain for all these years. It could have even been a century. Sly Demon turned to Scrooge Demon. Scrooge Demon glared and barked, "Old Third, I thought we said we'd never bring this up. Why are you talking about it, to pick a fight?" Bam! Scrooge Demon sucker punched Sly Demon, who punched back, of course, and it all degenerated into a scuffle, right there, in the air. Zhuo Fan took it in stride as he asked, since Mystical Heaven sect and us are in the lower three sects, weaker than them, what is Mystical Heaven sect doing, still fighting over a herb? He, Steward Zhuo, you don't know, but while we're not up to Demon Soul sect's level, we are Tianyu's three guardian sects, all brothers. Heaven trailing sect from the middle three sects is our boss covering for us. So as long as nothing grave happens, The Demon Soul sect wouldn't openly challenge us two sects either, or Heaven Trailing sect will be bound to step in. As both are middle three sects, fighting each other would be the worst scenario. Violent Demon grinned. Zhuo Fan exclaimed inside he got it now. Demon Scheming sect and Mystical Heaven sect were Heaven Trailing sect's little brothers, with the big bro keeping another middle three sect from swallowing them. Everyone was one big happy family. When they went to mess with the Beast Taming sect with the three elders' souls, I bet all three of the sects participated. Or why the hell would the Baron Chuanrong hand over such a fertile stretch for Tuoba Taishan and company? I reckon Beast Taming sect felt the pressure of the three sects on it and had no choice in the matter. The Chuanrong Emperor saw the Beast Taming sect agreeing, so he added one more condition, to get Tuoba Taishan back home as well. He had to get something out of this loss. Thus, the three sects nabbed that fertile stretch of land. No wonder in the days of Young San's chaos around Tianyu, the Empire's three guardian sects passed the blame. They wanted nothing to do with it. As long as the borders held, they didn't give a flying hoot about Tianyu's politics that had Zhuo Fan smiling. The sects extorted the Empire of resources yet didn't even raise a helping hand. On the other hand, only their indifference led to the former emperor's plan to work. Zhuo Fan sighed, following the four pygmies who were always fighting, ever quarreling. This was how the five flew to the Demon Scheming sect. 2 weeks later, at dawn, 5 dots trailed the sky. Steward Zhuo, we're here. That's the entrance. Violent Demon pointed at some dark spot in the woods below. All Zhuo Fan saw was trees and more trees. Oh, and some random beasts as well. It wasn't hard to understand why. Demon Scheming sect was hiding behind a barrier. Whoosh tilde. The 5 figures landed before the trees, with the pygmies making some signs with fluctuations of space and the shouts of the 4. The space in front of them twisted. A mighty tall mountain appeared up ahead, with them at its foot. But this view rippled about like a pool of water. Zhuo Fan knew it to be the entrance and waltzed right in. He was now in a whole new world, with thick spiritual energy as much as 10 times thicker than outside. A secluded sect indeed, and the perfect place to cultivate. Zhuo Fan gasped then. A voice with an attitude slammed into their ears. Who dares to breach Demon Scheming sect entrance? Chapter 520, Assassin at the Gates. Chapter 520, Assassin at the Gates. Whoosh. Something trailed the sky like a cold star, shooting for Zhuo Fan. He took a step back to look up. A blade brushed his nose, followed by a soft wrist. Quick to react, Zhuo Fan grabbed the hand, only to hear a charming cry as the elegant owner revealed herself. It was an 18-year-old girl, with shining eyes, flawless eyebrows, and innocent looks. Though those mesmerizing eyes flashed with chilling murder intent, a demonic sect disciple indeed, so young and so psychotic. Squinting, the seasoned Zhuo Fan saw through her on the spot, yet shook his head. Walking the secular world, he had seen Luo Yunchang's kindness, Ning's innocence, Qingqing's righteousness, and Shuang's mercy. Now that he was back among his people, among demons, he found himself out of place. Seeing this girl, he recalled the first time he ever entered a demonic sect as well, the cruelty and blatant ruthlessness to everything mortal he came to borrow in his very nature. As if his sole purpose on this God's green earth was to wreck it. Demons were born and died in the heart. Having seen the wonders of the world, it had a negative effect on his demonic nature. Or more aptly put, it transformed, growing to a whole new level. Clueless as to how high, all he knew was that he had a steadier heart than even the past demonic emperor. Ha ha ha, newborn chick, you've just stepped into the demonic sect and so you challenge an eagle. The young sure are filled with ambition. A shame you're far from being an eagle. Clang. Zhuo Fan twisted her hand behind her, making her grimace. She swished her head back at him but never made a peep, only gnashing her teeth. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow. She sure is obstinate. The girl then twisted her body, dislocating her shoulder with a crack. Her other hand sported a short blade and drove it towards Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan was shocked. This lass is the quintessence of the demonic path. She's just like me back in the day. A kind of empathy grew in Zhuo Fan's heart. The girl had the same cultivation as him, but that was where the resemblance stopped. Zhuo Fan's soul was tougher than a radiant stage expert. There was no way for her to catch him off guard, not while he used his soul to scan her every movement. Yet Zhuo Fan didn't mind giving her a freebie snick. The short blade plunged into Zhuo Fan's chest. The girl lit up and beamed. You're happy over something like this? Getting overconfident over a fluke leaves one wide open for a sudden death. a mistake common in youngsters. The girl cried suddenly and found Zhuo Fan smiling back with no anger in his voice. The girl was startled. His strange. What's he smiling about despite me stabbing him? Did he do it on purpose? No way. No one's that stupid. One thing was certain though, the blade did nothing to him. So she pulled it out to try again, this time going for Zhuo Fan's throat. Cease at once. The bark announced 4 trails of smoke coming into the sect, then reforming in front of the girl. Watching Zhuo Fan get stabbed by the girl, the 4 scheming demons were about to tear her into 4. Zhuo Fan shouted, "You stop. Let her go. Pa." The girl slammed the ground hard, watching the 4 angry faces in the smoke. With days, violent demon glared at her. "Damn brat, you dare kill inside demon scheming sect? Who put you up to this? Who are you? Why did you open the demon scheming sect's barrier?" The girl frowned, yet there was no fear in her features. Zhuo Fan admired her. The girl has some backbone. The 4 gave a creepy laughter and violent demon mocked, Hi, Missy, you sure are ignorant. We are the demonic cultivator hero quartet, having roamed the lands for years. Everyone knows us, everyone fears us. Well, I don't know. How could the demon scheming sect have someone like you? So shady, so shifty, and so creepy. The girl snorted. The 4 scheming demons exploded in rage. Hey broad, want to see yourself without a mouth? To hell with it, that'll be too easy for her. Let's tear her into 4. No, 8. No, 16. No, 100. The 4 scheming demons went back to arguing over the girl's execution method when a giggle came. Oh, the 4 executives. Why are you quarreling at the door? Do you want to have an elder throw you in that lightning prison again, forever? Ooh. The 4 became deathly quiet as they saw a lady in her 30s, seductive and spruced up like a cougar. The girl cried at her appearance. "Senior sister, they're actually one of us? Didn't you say you don't know them?" Ha ha ha, silly girl. These 4 are demon scheming sect's wildly renowned 4 scheming demons who once shook the world with their names. They only came back not long ago and became executives. You were still in seclusion at the time, training in demon-devouring saber. The lady interrupted with a giggle. The 4 scheming demons saw her buttering them up. They chuckled as well, sticking out their chins in immense pride. Zhuo Fan, though, grinned for a different reason. The girl grumbled, "Is demon scheming sect so empty to even have these weirdos become executives? Hey, I resent that. Think I won't tear you a new one?" Violent demon snapped. Zhuo Fan patted his shoulder. "Miss is just blunt, so let it go. Since I am new, why don't you introduce me to these lovely ladies?" The 4 scheming demons jerked and watched Zhuo Fan with a quirky look. When did Steward Zhuo become so interested in women? Having no choice, they complied with a laugh. Never thought I'd hear Steward Zhuo say that. All right, Humaya, tend to great Steward Zhuo. Violent demon snickered at the lady. The girl had a hard glare for them as she reprimanded, "Sect's rules forbids affairs. You 4 know this fully well. I'll be reporting you to the sect leader, so await your punishment. Hey, Missy, I find tearing your mouth off more and more appealing." Violent demon cracked his knuckles, only to have Zhuo Fan stop him. Zhuo Fan said flatly, "Miss, I am a new disciple and only wish to make some new friends. I have no other meaning." All the girl did was huff, while Humaya was very friendly, taking Zhuo Fan's hand with tenderness and tracing her hand in his long white hair. "A new disciple. It must have been so hard for you out there in the wild to have white hair at such a young age. You must be traumatized." "I'm okay." Zhuo Fan smiled. Humaya's hands roamed over him more and more, in clear disregard, "But now that you're here, I will take good care of you. You don't have to worry about anything." "Thank you, senior sister." Zhuo Fan smiled, his heart a rock. Violent demon giggled, "Humaya, he is in your care, so you better not neglect him. I could never have the heart to forget such a cute junior brother." Patting Zhuo Fan's cheek, she giggled, "But why are you calling him Steward Zhuo? Is that his name, Guanjia?" Smiley face, with how Steward Zhuo is made up of 3 characters, as often Chinese names are, she took the title as part of his name, Zhuo Guanjia. "No, I have only been a clan's steward before this." Zhuo Fan smiled, "My name is Zhuo Fan." Humaya nodded, "Zhuo Fan, outstanding and amazing. What a good name." Smiley face, she used his name to make an idiom. Of course, Steward Zhuo is an almighty hero that sect leader has personally invited. He is, at the very least, an elite, a future sect leader. A good name is a given. Violent Demon laughed with his head back, like he had picked the name, but Humaya blushed while her eyes glinted. As for the junior miss, she sat on the ground with an arm limp by her side, ignoring everything, even the next sect leader she just tried assassinating. If Zhuo Fan were to be Xiaowu's successor, her future was destined to be bleak. Chapter 521, The Labor Office. Chapter 521, The Labor Office. Humaya's eyes spun and she giggled while asking Violent Demon, "Executives, don't tease. Inner disciples have to be in the radiant stage at the very least, to say nothing of elite disciples. While junior brother here, you're looking down on our Steward Zhuo?" Violent Demon laughed. Steward Zhuo is so otherworldly that no common sense can describe him. The way I see it, even being an elite is a waste. He's better off working as executive from the start. No, that is beneath Steward Zhuo's talents. He should be an elder. Sly Demon sucked up Wimp Demon threw in his 2 cents. Elder won't do either, a venerable is more like it. What venerable? Just make Xiaowuo retire and have him become sect leader already. The 4 scheming demons got rowdier and more obnoxious while Humaya's cheeks twitched, something seriously wrong with their heads. She had long since heard of their illustrious infamy. I won't get anything about the kid out of these weirdos. Then again, with how they suck up to the kid and treat him with such respect, he must have deep ties in the sect. Humaya eyed the ever-cool Zhuo Fan, unfazed by the 4's outrageous display like a well whose waters never ended. "Miss, what might be your name?" Zhuo Fan turned to the girl. She only spared him a glance, then huffed. "Ha ha ha." Humaya giggled. "Junior brother Zhuo, she is Yua, an outer disciple with the same cultivation as you, in the 6th layer of profound heaven stage. She will be your senior sister. It's best if you get along, ha ha ha." "Yua?" Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow, then picked up the discarded short blade. The curved weapon was 4th-grade demonic treasure, bearing the name of the moon and wielding a full moon blade. How fitting. Yua just glared, yet she was caught by surprise as Zhuo Fan traced her neck with her weapon, widening her eyes. Yua could not dodge because of the heavy wound she had. Humaya was startled as well to learn that a new disciple would raise his hand at a fellow disciple. The 4 scheming demons snickered. They never tried stopping Steward Zhuo's actions, not like they could. Besides, it wasn't like sect leader would cry over the death of some nobody outer disciple. He wouldn't have invited Zhuo Fan just to lash out at him, no? The glinting blade reflected Yua's panicked eyes. But her will never wavered, relentless even in the face of death. Whoosh. The blade stopped just shy of her skin. She still felt its sharp edge, being on the brink of death. Gulp. Yua looked around nervously at Zhuo Fan, her very first time looking him in the eye. What was revealed was a twisted and insidious smile. Letting go of the blade, Zhuo Fan laughed. "Lass, your sneaky attack had me frightened. Now I've returned the favor and we're even, ha ha ha. Steward Zhuo, she has hurt you and yet you're letting her go with just a scare." Violent Demon glanced at the blood on Zhuo Fan's chest. Zhuo Fan shook his hand. "I just got here and senior sister Yua and I only exchanged greetings. You better not go snitching to sect leader either. Forget this ever happened." "Yes, sir." The 4 scheming demons shrugged and cupped their hands. Humaya was even more startled. These 4 weren't just looking after the kid, but are his lackeys. Is he some venerable's heir? Humaya sized Zhuo Fan harder. "Junior brother Zhuo is mighty and grand, just like father. When did you see my old man?" Zhuo Fan snickered inside, knowing fully well that she was playing with him. So he gave a vague answer. "Senior sister Maya is too kind. But since you mentioned father, I remember him telling me that the sect has a disciple called who is thoughtful and kind. He must have meant you, senior sister Maya. He always said having senior sister Maya tending to me is the utmost bliss." "Ooh." The 4 scheming demons looked at him oddly. When did he have a dad and why didn't we hear of him? And since he knows who Maya, is he perhaps in the sect? Humaya was stunned. He must have backing, but whose? While she wanted to dig further, Zhuo Fan cut their meeting short with a bow. "We should be going now to meet sect leader. Farewell. Here, senior sister Yua." Zhuo Fan handed her the curved blade and Yua took it with a cold glare. Zhuo Fan and the 4 pygmies left Humaya alone with her doubts. Yua, go tend to your wounds. Senior sister has some matters to tend to. Humaya was gone the next second. Yua nodded and sighed, putting on a hurtful look, like a kicked puppy. While Zhuo Fan and the 4 mini-demons passed by many great buildings. Violent Demon asked puzzled, Steward Zhuo, you're just gonna let that girl go after hurting you? Or should we look for a chance to waste her? Ha ha ha, you'd better not. I just like the last character. Just like me back when I stepped on the demonic path, blunt like a birch stump. Zhuo Fan snickered, as they say, the fool strikes while the wise talks. Yua might be the one who attacked, but I knew from a glance that she was oblivious to everything, ending up being used. It was the late arrival, Humaya, who came to mediate and to loosen my tongue. If we'd not leave the matter at that, she'd have killed us all. Zhuo Fan breathed in, 4 scheming demons. Did anyone else know about my coming to demon scheming sect? Why was someone after me the instant I got here? Well, the 4 scheming demons shook their heads and Violent Demon shrugged. That's normal. Demon scheming sect's competitiveness is ruthless. And since we're a demonic sect, it goes double for its disciple. You know it very well, how cruel our methods are, using others' souls and flesh to practice skills. Where are we supposed to get the raw material? Going after other sects will blow in our face and lead to war. Only by weeding out the weak and making them our furnace can the elite be born. Losing here means death. Right. We only succeeded to train in our unity tactic all because we used 999 disciples' souls. That's how we can turn to smoke. Sly Demon bobbed his head. No one knew better than Zhuo Fan just how cruel and twisted the demonic path was. The loser went through hell while the winner had everything, standing above everyone. Xiaoyue must have leaked it on purpose to get the disciples' attention fixed on me. Humaya just now was sizing his potential. Whether to take him out or not, a tough backing didn't absolve one of attacks, it only made the enemy more cautious when he acted. While having no one behind him at all would make anyone attack him on the spot, to nip him in the bud. Zhuo Fan snickered, you'll have another thing coming if some hatchlings on the demonic path can trick me. Once yours truly becomes an elite disciple, you'll all fall in line. Is that the disciple sect leader recruited? Deep in the forest of a cloudy weathered peak, a figure scoffed at the 5 of them. 6th layer of profound heaven stage, so average. Yet sect leader not only recruited him but even used a 9th grade pill. Humaya sighed from behind him, with equal disdain, that fool is quite interesting. It was Yua who stabbed him, yet he took the first step in putting the matter behind them. And from his tone, his father must be someone high up in the sect. Hi, he's just like a prodigal son, naive and innocent, unlike a demonic cultivator. Pulling strings to get in? Sect leader isn't that immoral. The man's eyes glinted, his smile cold, or maybe, he has a nice talent to catch sect leader's attention. Oh, what about his fight with Yua? Second senior brother, he is weak as a bug. He did break Yua's arm, but she stabbed his chest. His win is marginal. That means his strength is nothing special, typical of a 6th layer of profound heaven cultivator. Second senior brother rubbed his chin, let's wait for the sect leader's decision. Making him an inner disciple with the sect leader's personal instructions will mean he has outstanding talent, and he is a threat to us. If he's put with the outer disciples, he must have plenty of connections. Sect leader and the venerable must have reached a secret agreement. Humaya broke into an enchanting smile, her eyes taunting. The little guy looked so pure, dumber than even Yua. Sect leader has no time for his kind. The latter has a much higher probability. My thoughts exactly. Second senior brother had a wide grin, laughing along with Humaya. The 5 finally arrived at the sect's grand hall, where sect leader along with venerables and elders were present. Violent Demon eyed the closed doors with a smile. He didn't get to report their arrival when the doors opened to reveal a middle-aged man with a pencil mustache. The 4 scheming demons bowed. Elder Yarrow. En. He nodded and turned to Zhuo Fan. Are you the new disciple, Zhuo Fan? I am. Zhuo Fan gave a respectful reply. By the order of the sect leader, Zhuo Fan is to enter the labor office. He will be a Labour disciple. Take him away. Elder Yarrow left them speechless. Chapter 522, High Venerable. Chapter 522, High Venerable. Labo Re. Zhuofan's eyes twitched as all five shouted the word with dull and incredulous faces. Tianyu's finest steward, the demonic emperor, head of the 8 emperors in sacred domain, came to your sect to be a laborer? Xie Wuyue, get the hell out. I promise not to kill you, much. You wasted a 9th grade pill just to get a slave. Zhuofan's face twisted into a grimace. Violent demon panicked. Elder Yarrow, that can't be right. Steward Zhuo is versed in letters and martial arts. How can a rare genius end up as a laborer? No mistake, these are the sect leader's orders. Now take him to his post, his work begins tomorrow. Elder Yarrow eyed them coldly, then slammed the doors, almost catching Violent Demon in between. Shrugging helplessly, the 4 pygmies sighed. Zhuofan held his head, unable to come to terms with his new reality. Just what the hell is Xie Wuyue up to? Planning so hard to get him, only to work his ass doing housework. Are you that short on staff that you'll throw a 9th grade pill as incentive? While in the forest, second senior brother and Humaya were just as speechless. Second senior brother, no matter how average he may be, he is still in the profound heaven stage. He's good enough to become an outer disciple, so why punish him by throwing him in the labor office? He just got here and hasn't stepped on anyone's toes. Humaya was puzzled. Second senior brother frowned, then his eyes lit up. Maybe. Do you know something? Humaya asked. Senior brother mocked. It's just like junior sister said, he pulled strings to get here. As you very well know, for any disciple to join, he needs 2 people's vetting, sect leader and High Venerable. With High Venerable's upright and fair nature, he follows the sect's rules to the letter. Especially in the case of prodigal sons using their dads to squeeze their way in. He hates their guts. And ever since the defeat at the last Double Dragon gathering, his mood has been even worse. There's a high chance sect leader and that Venerable's deal got found out. So they reached a new agreement. The kid can enter, but not as an elite, and cannot participate in the Double Dragon gathering. No laborer is good for anything, and they'd be soon taken out just after entering the sect. They're useless. That takes care of him then. Humaya giggled at the other's misfortune. Second senior brother shook his head. I don't think so. If he'd come here just to die, there's no way the one behind him would have agreed. I reckon it was all to give him time to grow in power and become an elder or venerable the sect needs, and he'll get all the resources he wants. While anyone from the labor office can't become an elite disciple, there's nothing to say being an elder or venerable isn't possible. For this reason High Venerable butted in, to stop wastrels from dragging back the elites and to avoid a single dominant clan to form inside the sect. Humaya nodded in understanding, then batted her big charming eyes. Should we keep an eye on him for longer? What for? Ha ha ha, since his chance to become elite is shot and he can't join the Double Dragon gathering, he's no threat to us. Just let him be, waiting in the labor office for the time his backer makes him an elder. Second senior brother left in joy, having one roadblock cleared. Humaya gave Zhuofan one last look, but sneered before following the second senior brother. They had no interest in some wastrel whose only redeeming quality was some backer. They only had disdain for him. If it weren't for this, they might have risen to be in the middle 3 sects in the last Double Dragon gathering. Outside the hall, Zhuofan and the pygmies sat on the stairs, like an adult reprimanding for naughty children while enjoying some fresh air. Zhuofan entered a thinker pose. The 4 demons copied him. Tilda. For scheming demons, give it to me straight. What's a laborer in the sect? Not high, probably. Zhuofan raised an eyebrow, gnashing his teeth. Violent Demon began. Labor office is the sect jail for unredeemable criminals. Once you go in, you'll never get out. No matter what trouble we used to make, the most was that we got sent to Thunder Swarm Mountain. It is a disciple's grave. The disciples who failed the entrance test end up here, getting no resources and wasting their lives away until they die of old age. Someone yearning for power always appears now and then, and through grueling dedication to cultivate, they would become elders upon reaching Radiant Stage as a reward for their willpower. With Steward Zhuo joining them, you'd have no trouble becoming an elder on account of your talents. Wimp Demon consoled. He only earned a cuff from Violent Demon. You moron, Steward Zhuo is to be a sect leader, not some executive like us. That's a waste of talent. The other 3 didn't join the fight and actually nodded. For the first time ever, Wimp Demon had no resentment, giving Zhuo Fan looks of pity to him. Zhuo Fan was a true cultivator of the demonic way. It was then that the faint crack in the open doors of the hall shut tight. The insides were lavish and opulent, with braziers raging bright light over the wealth in 2 neat rows. In the center sat the imposing Xie Wuye on an exquisite jade throne. Looking down on the hall, Elder Yarrow came in with a bow. Sect leader, I have sent the kid to the labor office as you ordered. Good. You may leave. Yes, sir. Elder Yarrow bowed as he walked backward as the hall became empty. Xie Wuye turned to the seat next to him, who had a just as grand person seated on it. High Venerable, are you satisfied? Such a talent thrown into labor. Humph, now all our hopes to win in the next Double Dragon gathering are crushed. Sect leader cares much about him, but I find it hard to second that emotion and would rather watch him from the shadows. Just what kind of junior could get Sir Sect leader to use even a 9th grade pill to draw him into the sect? With a hum, the large seat sported a figure in grey clothes. Xie Wuye sighed. Those wastrels must have given you quite the scare, High Venerable, for you to go against even my candidate for Double Dragon gathering. But you are wrong, I am just like you, aspiring for the Double Dragon gathering and would let no one stop me in achieving it. I want to become the greatest sect leader the demon scheming sect has ever seen. As his eyes flashed, Xie Wuye's mighty aura exploded. High Venerable nodded. Wuye, you've been to the last Double Dragon gathering and know of our humiliating defeat. I've never doubted your conviction to win, but to let a kid not even in the Radiant stage become an elite disciple is something I can't do. Ha ha ha, it's fine. The kid is no mere shining gemstone, and you'll see it in time. He has every right to be the pillar holding us all in the Double Dragon gathering. Laughing, Xie Wuye walked away from his throne. High Venerable watched him go with a mutter. No one has ever garnered such praise from Wuye. Is the kid that amazing? Impermanence 5, what do you think? Tilde. 5 elderly figures appeared around High Venerable when the kid used the sending jade to request for help. Wuye wanted to send someone else, but I vouched for you. Also, I could have you check him out if he's worthy to be an elite. Well, High Venerable asked Elder. She replied, High Venerable, we did lend Luo clan our aid, and even with the short time around the kid we did manage to pick up on his sharp mind and wisdom, just like our sect leader. He has a vaulting ambition, and is the sole decisive figure. He is manipulative to an extent even the sect leader can't be. Oh, so he's a tough one. High Venerable nodded. Here I thought he was soft and can't hold his own. That makes Wuye's evaluation trustworthy. When we captured beast taming sect's elders, one of them had no body. After a summary questioning, we found out that his vessel got destroyed by that kid. Elder, she continued. High Venerable cried out, what? Is he not a profound heaven cultivator? How did he destroy an ethereal stage expert's body? Ha ha ha, those 3 experts were so dumb that they fell for his every trick. But for a kid to have 3 experts dance in his palm, with one getting heavily injured, now that's talent. Elder, she smiled. High Venerable pondered. Elder, she resumed, does Sir remember those 4 scheming demons, the twerps? Those mavericks had no control, no amount of punishment worked on them, always doing what the heck they wanted. Thus sect leader has no choice but to throw them in Thunder Swarm Mountain. Yet now they've shown up with smoother edges, especially around Zhuo Fan. The thought of going against his orders never crossed their minds, and they even stood up for him. Elder Yang noticed that the kid has the charm of a ruler, drawing people towards him. He may be the person Sir has been searching for. Shuddering, High Venerable eyed the 5 as they nodded. His eyes glinted. Perhaps I ought to test the kid, ha ha ha. Chapter 523, Old Yuan. Chapter 523, Old Yuan. Evening, a time when the crimson sun bids goodbye to the 5 lonely figures shuffling down the path. Zhuo Fan walked at a snail's pace on the weeded path, as if he was going on a road of no return, dragging it out as excruciatingly long as possible. Yet it only delayed the inevitably cruel fate destiny had for him. Steward Zhuo, here is the labor office. Violent Demon lifted a weary finger at the shoddy and small building. Zhuo Fan was stunned at the sight. It was worthy of its name, a dump just like his house in the slums of Drifting Flowers City. The only saving grace in that case was that his stay was temporary. While now, he had no frickin' clue how to leave this shithole. Xie Wuye, you haven't seen the last of me. You think it's funny, using a 9th grade pill just to get me thrown in this thing? Zhuo Fan spat the 4 scheming demons shrugged. Violent demon shouted, "Whoever is in there, get out now." I'm coming, a panicky voice replied, followed by an old man in ragged clothes and white beard running over. He bowed and flattered Violent Demon. "Ha ha ha, elders, what can I do for you?" Zhuo Fan's gang looked with disdain at the 5th layer bone tempering elder, so old yet only in the bone tempering stage. Such a poor talent this secular world has. That's why he's here, and this is where he'll meet his end. The 5 shook their heads. The old man ignored their blatant disdain and wore a wide smile. "Hey, old-timer, where are the rest of you? Don't tell me you're the only one here." Violent Demon finally found a chance to be high and mighty. Though the high part was questionable, the mighty part more than made up for it. The old guy bowed, giving a humble reply, "Elder, they're all out working. Watering the herb garden, sweeping and cleaning. Are you the one in charge here?" Violent Demon continued. The old man beamed a yellow smile. "I am Yuan Xingang, the one taking care of this place and already 100 years old. A bone-tempering cultivator got to 100 in this place." Zhuo Fan eyed the old-timer. The 4 pygmies said the labor office was the sect's dump used as consumables in others' training. The old-timer must have had some luck to reach 100 in this hellhole. The old man noticed his doubt and spoke softly, "Young master, surviving the labor office is a bit tricky. Either work hard to be an elder, or lay lower like a pygmy." "Hey, that's me, Tiny. To be taken away for practice, one must first have some value. I've suppressed my cultivation and look utterly worthless to everyone, thus reaching old age. I must admit I am the oldest one here, so I ended up looking after the place. Like the old adage, the tallest tree gets the wind. So this guy kept himself too plain, the king of nobodies." Zhuo Fan sighed. "If it were me, knowing I'd one day end up under someone's knife, I'd just fight my way out. Why wait here for death? Young master, that is such a simple way of thinking. The disciples in the labor office all have low cultivation and don't know how to open the barrier. How can we get out?" The old man sighed. "The world is cruel, and everyone is its fodder. A man's fate has always been to struggle against death since birth. And the only thing that can change this is one's skill. By escaping the depths of misery, one would finally attain strength." Zhuo Fan eyed the old-timer in surprise. To think an old bone-tempering cultivator would have such a deep insight into the world's nature. The old man returned to his servile manner with a smile. "Elders, where are my manners? How may I address you? We will be here together after all. Hey, old-timer, perk your ears. We are the graceful and magnificent demonic cultivator hero quartet of the demon scheming sect, the 4 scheming demons." Violent Demon grinned, his nose way up high. The old man cried, "Ah, executives, forgive my lack of manners. May I ask what sirs are doing here? Who's the blind fool that forgot to sweep? That's not it. We don't even know our home's cleaner, hey." Violent Demon waved and his brothers laughed, pointing at Zhuo Fan. "We came here because Steward Zhuo has irked the sect leader for some odd reason, getting demoted to the labor office. It's fine though, since this'll be just a short stop. Take good care of him or you'll be liable. Elders, I'd never neglect young Master Zhuo." Moreover, then he glanced at Zhuo Fan, "with his profound heaven cultivation, there's nothing I can do to him. Only, labor office does have some unruly young masters." "What unruly?" "Just use our title." Violent Demon snorted and barked, causing the old man to shy away. Zhuo Fan figured out more as he said, "Is your title that well known, to quell anyone? In this dump, everything will rest on me in the end." "Ooh." The 4 exchanged a glance and laughed. "Steward Zhuo is right. With your skills, you don't need our care. Then sir, have a nice stay while we'll be making inquiries as to how this happened in the first place. We will get you out." Violent Demon nodded, his gaze firm. The other 3 echoed him. The old man watched it all with a glint in his eyes. After many demons repeated warnings to the old guy, they cupped their hands at Zhuo Fan and flew away. Zhuo Fan chuckled. He never thought the day would come when these 4 shits would look after him. Mr. Zhuo has such nice friends. I've seen my fair share of strong people coming to labor office, but never before like Mr. Zhuo, with so many executives looking after him. The old man spoke simply. Zhuo Fan smiled. "Just Zhuo Fan. I will be calling sir, Elder Yuan. That won't do. I can't accept it. The old man waved his hands around. I'm but a bone-tempering cultivator, a whole stage beneath, sir. Ha ha ha, what's that got to do with anything? When I respect someone, they have something of worth. Sir's cultivation is low, but your insight into the world can't be compared. All that's left is for your talent to increase, and sky is the limit. Zhuo Fan beamed as his hand now held a vial. This is my clan's heaven-reaching pill. It enhances the body and makes cultivation easier. Let us expound on the heavenly Tao together. Startled, the old man received the vial. The soothing aroma coming from it had him flabbergasted. TT 10th grade pill? Elder Yuan is truly wise. At the bone-tempering stage, yet aware of such a pill. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow, gulping and struggling to regain calm. Yuan Xinggang gave a dry laugh. In my days as a laborer, I helped an alchemist around and had the fortune to witness a 10th grade pill. I never imagined I'd be seeing one again. Mr. Zhuo, this is our first time meeting, yet I feel ashamed accepting such a lavish gift. Ha ha ha, it's fine. There's plenty of it. Where that came from. Zhuo Fan shrugged. That had Elder Yuan stumble, looking back at Zhuo Fan with a freaky gaze. Mr. Zhuo, where did you say you were again? If you have 10th grade pills, why would you come to demon scheming sect? Can't help it when you're obligated. Zhuo Fan shook his head, then looked at the crumbling building. Elder Yuan, where will I be staying? Yuan Xinggang turned from him to the pill, having mixed feelings. Holy moly, a big shot has come to town. What a godly return, using a 10th grade pill to pay back for a 9th grade pill. In a field of flowers, people with white robes and the mystical word sewn on their shoulders in gold landed. Russell Tilda. They all made a sign and the flower field shimmered, turning into a lofty landscape of towering mountains. One pale woman, with blood on her lips, stepped forward in silence. Her arrival had people shouting, "Someone help, Senior Sister Shui is hurt." Chapter 524. An Ice Princess's Smile. Chapter 524. An Ice Princess's Smile. Tilda. Ripples came from a deep cave in the mountain, from the four elegant women holding their hands in a circle and releasing prismatic lights. Next to them stood a grizzled old man with a long beard and a fine young man with soft features, in his 20s. But his waning face betrayed his fragile health. He coughed on and off, his eyes filled with worry. Elder Shu, wasn't Senior Sister Ruohua's condition light? Why isn't it improving? Should we notify Father and the Venerables? The young man sighed. Elder Shu smiled. Young Master, these four are executing the four-element cycle array, holding metal, wood, water, and fire. And by connecting with the earth, the cycle is complete. Under the effect of this great cycle, Ruohua's condition will improve in no time at all. There's no need to bother sect leader and the others over such a trifle. The young man nodded, but was worried still. After another ripple, the four women took back their power and the prismatic glow faded. They opened their eyes and stood up. Shui Ruohua bowed to the other three in gratitude. Thank you, junior sisters, for saving me. Senior sister, it's nothing. The others returned her gesture. The young man walked over impatiently and grew excited at Shui Ruohua's healthy state. Cough Tilda, Senior Sister Ruohua, are you alright? Ha ha ha, of course, silly brother. Shui Ruohua ruffled his hair and the boys smiled. They had grown up together and were practically kin. Despite the difference in status, he still treated her like family. Just then, an icy tone echoed, Senior Sister, since you're alright, I'll return to my training. The woman in white caught their attention, possessing a blinding beauty but an icy character. No other than Chu Qingcheng. The young man stared at Chu Qingcheng's delicate face, then shied away. When he finally mustered his courage, he said, Junior Sister Qingcheng, isn't it dull having cultivated day in day out since the moment you came to Mystical Heaven sect? You've finally taken a walk outside, yet you want to return already? Young Master Xiaoyu, practice makes perfect and cultivation requires dedication. The only reason I'm in Mystical Heaven sect is to cultivate. If not for Senior Sister Ruohua's wounds needing the four-element cycle array, I would never have walked outside. Chu Qingcheng's icy tone came. The others shook their heads. Junior Sister Qingcheng has always been a frozen blade, cold inside and out. The young man sighed. I've seen beauties all my life, yet the only one to have touched my heart is this ice princess. Besides being so uninterested in others, She also keeps everyone at a distance. Xian Xiaoyu had a bitter smile, his wan face turning whiter. Shui Ruohua knew his thinking fully well and shook her head. Not just anyone can thaw the frozen heart of an ice princess. Junior sister Chu, please wait. Shui Ruohua called out to her before she left. Chu Qingcheng turned around in puzzlement. Shui Ruohua said, as I was in danger while getting the herb, I met someone. He seemed to have a connection with you, so I hope junior sister can attest. With me? Frowning, Chu Qingcheng looked even more skeptical. Didn't third young master Han hurt you? What does he have to do with me? Elder Shu was also curious. Ruohua, the disciples said Demon Soul Sect's third young master Han hurt you. Qingcheng and they have no relationship, so why would you ask this? Elder, allow me to explain. Third young master Han did hurt me, but, Shui Ruohua gave Chu Qingcheng a long look, the one to save me was from the demon scheming sect. What? They all looked at her in shocked silence. Xian Xiaoyu even more so, there's nothing but open hostility between our sects. Why would they ever go on demon scheming sect's bad side for us? He didn't save mystical heaven sect, just that it had something to do with Qingcheng. Shui Ruohua had a bitter smile. It left them even more confused about Chu Qingcheng's relationship with demon scheming sect. Chu Qingcheng was just as confused. Elder Shu's beard shook and he stared at Shui Ruohua in all seriousness. Ruohua, explain just what is going on. It's like this. Shui Ruohua got her thoughts together and said, we discovered a 9th grade herb in a valley, the tricolor soul-fixing grass. That's great. Did you get it? Elder Shu jumped in. Shui Ruohua rolled her eyes and revealed the herb in a flash of white. Of course. I'd go through hell if it means I can heal brother Xiaoyu. Sister Ruohua, thank you. Xian Xiaoyu had a coughing fit as he thanked her. Elder Shu was overjoyed. Go on, ha ha ha. We couldn't get a hold of it actually because Demon Soul Sect came for it as well. Shui Ruohua explained, Demon Soul Sect's third young master Han was strong, and I ended up badly hurt after one move. Third young master Han is despicable to not even spare women. The next time we sisters meet him, we'll give him a lesson in manners with the 4-element cycle array. One pretty lady in red robes snorted. Shui Ruohua glanced over, but smiled and wiggled her cute button nose. Third young master Han isn't just anybody. Don't underestimate him. But even a young master from the middle 3 sects had met his nemesis this time. All turned quiet, even the fiery lady, hanging on Shui Ruohua's every word. When I was on the brink of death, a man showed up. He merely flicked his hand and scarred the land in 2 halves, forcing third young master Han to never overstep that line. Even as the man left, third young master Han never crossed it. Shui Ruohua's heart thrummed as well, recalling that scene. He is the one who gave me the herb, a man from demon scheming sect. SSS tilde. Everyone gasped and looked shocked. Why would demon scheming sect help them without rhyme or reason? The lady in red blinked her big purty eyes, her smile naughty. Senior sister Ruohua, did he fancy you and wanted some dual cultivation? You mustn't fall for it. Demonic cultivators are vile and insidious. Shui Ruohua winced, then shook her head. Even as she felt let down for some reason, he gave me the herb with one condition. His target wasn't me, but... Shui Ruohua looked at Chu Qingcheng. He asked 2 questions about junior sister Chu Qingcheng, then gave me the herb. Which 2? Chu Qingcheng asked eagerly if you're in mystical heaven sect and if you're doing well. Shui Ruohua replied. Chu Qingcheng asked again, even more eager, what's his name? I don't know, he asked me to forget all about it. But, those 4 radiant stage pygmies called him Steward Zhuo. It's really him. Chu Qingcheng shook with pure joy. Her icy features melted into a beautiful smile. He misses me. 2 trails of tears accompanied her bright smile. Everyone was stumped, having never seen her smile and finding it a work of art. They also never expected her beauty to be so radiant. An unsmiling Chu Qingcheng was already a worldly beauty, yet now, she was divine. Just who is he, to make junior sister Qingcheng so overjoyed just from hearing his name? Balling his fist, Xian Xiaoyu's eyes glinted with envy. Shui Ruohua shook her head, but Shuofan's courteous manner made her smile. He is a demon who is able to worm his way into your heart. Chapter 525, Azura Circle. Chapter 525, Azura Circle. The moon hung high above the black eerie sky in complete silence. Zhuo Fan sat in a shoddy house, eyes closed and an azure flame flashing on his forehead. He had little clue about how to use Kuanping's gift initially, but the sacred beast had pointed out that it was second to none when it came to soul refining. With the flame nurturing his soul, it grew clearer and stronger, faster than ever. But a frown set in on Zhuo Fan's face due to the cawing outside, and the azure flame faded out. Zhuo Fan, wake up. We have to gather. An aged voice echoed with anxiousness, followed by Elder Yuan opening his door and pulling Zhuo Fan outside. Zhuo Fan inquired, Elder Yuan, why all the rush? Oh, right, you've just arrived. 2 sirs have called for all the laborious. We've got to move fast or our lives are forfeit. Elder Yuan's eyes swam with panic. Zhuo Fan was even more baffled. 2? Wasn't the labor office under your administration? I only have an honorary position. Whenever there's someone stronger around, he's the one in charge. Look at my cultivation, can I just call myself king? Elder Yuan pulled Zhuo Fan faster. This place must have some lurking snakes too. Though Zhuo Fan didn't care much, since even if the dragon had a tough time quelling the snake, he was the soaring demonic dragon piercing the sky. No matter the snake, I'll waste him the second he looks at me funny. Humph. The dragon and snake is an idiom referring to not even law can tie a mafia boss down. Zhuo Fan let himself be pulled. They arrived at the labor office's deepest part, a man-sized black hole carved into a mountain. People were coming from all over, like them, and entering the cave. Elder Yuan cried out, sigh, so few left outside. That means we're late and everyone's inside. So, since there's still more people coming over, we're not the last ones. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow. Elder Yuan shook his head, you can be late, but I can't. And pulled harder on Zhuo Fan towards the cave. Torches graced the cave with light from each side as people followed the tunnel deeper, to an even brighter area. It was a large open space dug up in the mountain, tens of miles in range. Tens of thousands of people were already there, watching the 2 people on the dais. One was a girl with a scorpion drawn on half her face in purple and black. Her vile eyes and powerful vibe put her in the 3rd layer of radiant stage. The other was a tall and sturdy man with a stubble on his face, wearing black and had a cold smile. His aura had Zhuo Fan take him for a 4th layer of radiant stage, so even the labor office is a den of monsters. Zhuo Fan said. Elder Yuan pulled his sleeve, whispering, they were all inner disciples casted out to the labor office due to a serious offense. Their lives are over, making their mood even worse. Don't taunt them, even if you have 4 executives behind you. They have an elder's protection, so don't get carried away and end up dead. Elder Yuan, what are you still doing down there? What are you muttering? The boorish voice got everyone to look at the savage face of the man on the dais. Elder Yuan shirked, then gave Zhuo Fan one last look before going up with a nice smile. Sirs, forgive my tardiness. Humph, geezer, the only reason you get to keep your stinking rotten life is because you're too damn useless even as a training target. You just keep getting slower. The man glared. Elder Yuan nodded with the same smile. Thank you so much for your mercy, Sir Kuei Lang, ha ha ha. Take out the roster already. I want to see the numbers. Kuei Lang cursed, wretched filthy sack of bones. Using you as an ingredient will ruin my cultivation. Yeah, ha ha ha. Elder Yuan put on a lowly face, presenting the roster. Kuei Lang went through a roll call, Li Ergu, Hua Taishu. Kuei Lang's booming voice rang in everyone's ears, showing off his power. The men being called raised their hands, while the hesitating ones earned a harsh rebuttal. Wrapping up with the names, Kuei Lang's attitude never changed, until he got to the last name. We have a newcomer. Zhuo Fan, here. Zhuo Fan raised his hand. Kuei Lang eyed him and snickered. He, as a newcomer, he must be taught the rules. Young Master Kuei, please show mercy. Elder Yuan panicked and pleaded, Young Master Kuei, for executives brought him with explicit warning to not be touched. Harming him will forfeit my life. Kuei Lang balled his fists, ignoring him. What about executives? I've got an elder. Here, we all must follow the rules. Young Master Kuei, those executives care very much about him, even going to the sect leader to petition for his sake. Would the young master's elder do the same? Elder Yuan's eyes darted everywhere as he pointed out. Kuei Lang paused in thought. All the people here were sect rejects, With even their own masters seeing them as hopeless, they couldn't care less about leaving their lives to fate. The only upside to all this was paying their master a visit for some crumbs. As for getting the master to stick his neck out, it was a total no-no, with the executives behind Zhuofan going to such lengths for him, even risking going against sect leader's command. Roughing him up would end with the culprit getting thrashed. Or worse, he didn't feel like getting the executives on his case. Kuei Lang, since the kid is so important, it's best to tone it down for now. The girl reminded him. Kuei Lang nodded and relaxed his fists. The risks outweigh the gains. Kuei Lang turned solemn. I've called you all here for one reason. Today, the Azura Circle begins anew, and only the winner may leave this place. What? The crowd went wild. Is this a joke? Azura Circle is once every 3 years. Why is it being held again after only 6 months? Kuei Lang snorted. Regardless of the time, the result doesn't change. Only the strongest can live. The losers will become the sect's resource for training. In this very cave, the first bell starts the fight while the second stops it. Is that clear? The crowd panicked. Caught totally unprepared, they figured the gathering was for something they had planned, like some elder's birthday. But nobody expected it to be the Azura Circle. Did the inner disciples run out of target practice already? Elder Yuan was worried for Zhuofan and pleaded, Young Master Kuei, Zhuofan has just arrived and does not know the cruelty of Azura Circle. Could he not participate? Rules are rules. I won't target him on account of those executives, but the rules state all laborious must participate, or I'll have to answer for it. Kuei Lang snorted. The girl-eyed Zhuofan, old Yuan, he's a 6th layer of profound heaven cultivator, he'll live, so don't worry. Kuei Lang nodded. They're letting him in not because they don't care about the executives, but because Zhuofan will be fine. Elder Yuan nodded as well with a sigh. Twisted-faced Rakshasa Yuling, Black Yama. Kuei Lang, that's F*** king bullshit. A man from the crowd pointed at the two on the dais and swore, I know the sect has no demand for target practices. With the outer sect promotion test coming up, you want your little sister to have all the materials to train. I'm reporting you to the sect. The man in the 2nd layer of profound heaven stage flew for the exit. Kuei Lang snorted and a black wind shot for the man. He cried out in pain as he spat blood and slumped on the ground from the dizziness. The rest trembled in fear. Zhuofan squinted. Soul attack, but a brutal one at that. It must be related to his cultivation method, something insidious that has twisted his soul to such a degree. Zhuofan turned and watched everyone around him. With so many prime materials around, no wonder. Not like it's any of my business. Zhuofan's eyes took on a sagely light as he shook his head. Inside a sound then came, that of a bell, as Kuei Lang struck the copper bell next to him. Let the Azura Circle begin. Deserters will be killed. Chapter 526, True Demon. Chapter 526, True Demon. A deathly silence ensued. Everyone put up their guards, with eyes darting everywhere for any incoming blow. As the stalemate continued, the pressure only mounted, visible from the sweat pouring out of them. Bam! It was an 8th layer of bone-tempering cultivator who gave the start, flying all of a sudden and landing dead. The others jerked and saw Kuei Lang letting his hand down. If you don't fight, I will do it for you until I reach the quota. As for who the poor devils are, time will tell. Kuei Lang's eyes glinted. Gulp. The crowd tensed harder, their eyes turning crazy. Someone took out a demonic treasure and hacked around him while the rest unleashed their power and picked their closest neighbor. Wails, shouts and cries set the stage for the blood spurting everywhere, dyeing the lit cavern, and eerie red corpses littered the ground as they fell, yet their eyes did not have the panic or shock one would assume, but only fear mixed with madness. Zhuofan took it all in with a critical eye. It is madness born out of dread and horror. What started as a fight for survival has devolved into this fanatic killing into oblivion, forgetting even their goal. In a slaughterhouse like this, their inner demons took control while they only played along as puppets on a string to kill and kill with empty minds consumed by a sick thrill. This was the Azura Circle, a place where one became demons and stopped being human. Whoosh! 1/3 layer of profound heaven expert lost his mind in the madness and targeted Zhuofan. Despite the obvious 3-layer gap, Zhuofan was tranquil while standing there, breaking his bones and tendons with practiced ease, but not even that agony could wipe the manic grin on the corpse's face. Zhuofan shook his head, his mind lacking sadness or joy. Only having serenity, he just stood there among the fanatic killings, unmarred and untouched by its corrupting influence. Only making a move when an overzealous killer went for him as if he was the eye of the storm, despite the frantic winds lashing at his clothes, his steel will never wavered at the same time. He was glaringly obvious in the circle what's with him. Kuei Lang frowned, pointing Zhuo Fan out. Such a bloodthirsty arena makes even my blood boil a bit, so why is he the only one unaffected? It's like he isn't even here. Yu Ling frowned. He is truly an oddity, unlike how a demonic cultivator should be, or any cultivator for that matter. This stage would make even righteous cultivators turn to bloodlust, but he's a true expert. Elder Yuan rubbed his beard, staring at Zhuo Fan with a deep look. Everyone has their demons. As demonic cultivators, we draw them out and refine them to achieve enlightenment about the inner workings of the world. But most people only glare at the surface of their demons, resulting in being consumed by them in a bloodbath like this. Except him, having understood the root of his demons and having tempered his heart to another level, a true demon. The inner demon has no hold over him, while he has it in complete control. Elder Yuan sighed. So young, yet he has such a deep heart. It will bring him a limitless future. Elder Yuan was full of praise, making Kuei Lang and Yu Ling speechless. When did the old-timer turn into a sage? And why is he talking gibberish? Old Yuan, have you lost it? Kuei Lang stared at him. Elder Yuan chuckled, finding himself under their scrutiny. Ha ha ha, it's just my feelings. Please don't mind it. I was just saying that Zhuo Fan is special, someone you should get close to. Bam! Kuei Lang decked Elder Yuan and spat. So your act is to have us look after him? Think you're an expert with your aphorisms? Ha ha ha, yeah, I won't ever do it again. Elder Yuan smiled. The two shared a glance and shrugged. The old foggy wasn't much to look out, yet his act and preaching almost had them. It gives credence to the saying, the old are hypocrites. And this old guy must have made it into an art. An hour into the killings, the Azura circle's reverberating roars and shouts of murder never let up, time in which the ever-collected Zhuo Fan figured he could do some fishing among the chaos while waiting. Kuei Lang figured the killing was enough and sounded the bell, though it wasn't that easy pulling their minds out of their demons' control. No choice but for Kuei Lang and Yu Ling to let their voices out, cease at once. The thunderous sound echoed in the cave so much even the ground shook. The two's powerful soul, along with their voices, yanked their minds into collapsing. The crazed killing field turned deathly silent. The living participants held their heads and groaned while flouncing around. The dead forever remained still among the pool of blood, their eyes open, bloodthirsty yet empty. Kuei Lang saw Yu Ling's nod and said, this should last them 2 months. Yu Ling returned the nod, having a rare smile on her lips. But just then, Kuei Lang's smile froze and his eyes widened. What's wrong? Yu Ling raised an eyebrow. Kuei Lang lifted a shaky arm to point. Yu Ling found herself experiencing the same shock as him there. Zhuo Fan stood just like before, watching his neighbors with self-confidence. That's not possible. We used bewitching whispers together. Why is he still standing? Yu Ling couldn't make sense of it. Kuei Lang surmised, since a profound heaven cultivator's soul has no chance of being stronger than ours, it leaves only one option. He has a soul demonic treasure. Yu Ling nodded, having reached the same conclusion. I have said he is special. Sirs should take good care of him. Elder Yuan jumped in. The two nodded after a pause. Not anyone could just have a soul demonic treasure. He's just a 6th layer of profound heaven cultivator. Someone must be watching his back to possess such a bauble. The two held Zhuo Fan with higher regard on the spot. Yet behind this misconception, one'd find Zhuo Fan a freak of nature with a soul so strong, not even peak radiant stage could top it. As for backing, haha, Xie Wuya did invite him here, but his immense confidence in himself left him to his own devices, i.e. he had none. Alas, Zhuo Fan was neck deep in mysteries and good at keeping others away. Ahem. Moving on, Kuei Lang turned to the rest of the survivors with a shout. Grats, people, you have survived another Azura circle. You are now free to go. There are many tasks that await you tomorrow. Kuei Lang and Yu Ling had others collect the corpses as they left. The lucky men here who still lived left overjoyed at their new lease on life. While only Zhuo Fan sneered, they're no different from cattle. But they are different. They have a hint of hope. Elder Yuan smiled, coming over and seeing everyone gone. Men are selfish and men's hearts have demons. Uprising has no chance of success, and the sect would have long since removed the labor office if it didn't serve its purpose. But to keep that from happening, the sect gave them a slim hope, to cultivate hard and they would come out as executive elders at some point. That's why they fight, so that one day they'll excel, while making labor office fulfill its purpose in the meantime. In truth, it's not the sect rearing them, but they are locking themselves inside their pen. Elder Yuan's eyes glinted with disdain, which is perfect. In a world where strength is everything, even here, only the strong make their way forward. As for the weak, the stragglers, death becomes them. Zhuo Fan nodded. The world was cruel, its creatures nothing but fodder. It went double for demonic sect's labor office was hell, the supplier for the sect's disciples' cultivation needs while also being the place where the strong transformed. The survivors of this hellhole were crucial pillars of the sect. Having gone through one culling after another, it only went to show its importance to the demon-scheming sect. The labor office was empty of anything humane, reduced to mere survival or death. But unlike the world outside that had the same nature, this was a corner of the world free of hypocrisies. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed as his heart and mentality grew, as he understood more about the world he was part of. Chapter 527, She Beneath the Moon. Chapter 527, She Beneath the Moon. Tilde. With a flash of azure, a flicker of flame appeared on Zhuo Fan's forehead. Elder Yuan's eyes bugged out in shock. With a light pop, Zhuo Fan's aura doubled. He just stood there like nothing happened, yet his cultivation rose to the 7th layer of profound heaven stage. Elder Yuan was flabbergasted, having witnessed the Azura Circle. The kid has come to his own discoveries, driving his cultivation to rise. Even though cultivation defines your strength, while the heart defines one's potential. The two are unrelated. Such a case where a heart state improving leads to an increase in cultivation had been far and few, since time itself, yet here and now, Zhuo Fan has done it. It is proof of his immense insight, of his great talent. Elder Yuan was stirred watching Zhuo Fan, his throat became dry. When the azure flame withdrew and Zhuo Fan opened his eyes, he found the golden halo in his eyes flashing brighter and brighter. Zhuo Fan frowned. Having an old-timer watch him with such heated gaze was not normal. Ahem, Elder Yuan, what is this? If you're pent up, don't come to me, I don't swing that way. Elder Yuan recovered from his stupor and beamed, so Zhuo must never ever misunderstand. I may be old but I am straight. The two burst out laughing. Elder Yuan, I must say I never thought the materials from the labor office were picked this way. Zhuo Fan and Elder Yuan were walking out. It only makes Elder Yuan's survival over all these years even more peculiar. What's so strange about it? We each live our own lives. The strong have their own path and so do the weak. Besides, in my days there was no Azura Circle. The elders came to pick the materials and in fear of being included, I suppressed my cultivation. Not registering in their eyes meant going on living. And that is how I am the only one reaching such an old age here. It's only natural that they've put me in charge and absolved me from dying here. Then the Azura Circle, Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow glancing around. Elder Yuan whispered, Zhuo Fan, Azura Circle is something Sir Kuei Lang came up with when he first came here. Why would he do that? Zhuo Fan asked. Piqued. Elder Yuan smiled. Zhuo Fan, the labor office has two kinds of people. One are the cast-out disciples. They can either resign to their fate as materials, or break the mold and become elders. The other type are those demoted here as punishment. They are forever criminals with a short road ahead of them and a high chance of never leaving this place. But the sect has a rule, those with great merits will have a clean slate. That's what they tell the others. What great merit could a criminal get in the labor office? Zhuo Fan shook his head. Elder Yuan smiled. That's not entirely true. Like I said, the strong will always find a way. Like now for instance. Keeping Azura Circle going is a great merit. What makes you say that? Zhuo Fan asked. Elder Yuan's eyes glinted. Those in the labor office know the condition but few manage to escape, which makes everyone mediocre, living their lives like me, who suppress their cultivation to avoid becoming some elder's guinea pig. That makes the materials here dregs, while now, because of the Azura Circle, people here want to live longer and thus have to become stronger and cultivate harder. Soon the materials' quality improved and the elders were satisfied. And there's an illusion about Azura Circle as well, that they are the masters of their own fate. The dead become materials while the living continue existing and not get picked by elders. Strength gives you life while weakness takes it away. With this trend, the level of the labor office will soon reach outer disciples. Especially after Yu Ling came, adding a few rules. Bone tempering stage needn't join Azura Circle, keeping the new blood pumping and saving them from drying out. Everything was made so that the labor office's standards grew, another great merit. The two of them might even return to the inner sect with their credit. Zhuo Fan nodded. All the two did was use mind games, throwing these abandoned slackers through a murder machine to awaken their ambition. An objective watcher would see them as lambs, but in the Azura Circle, they turn into wild animals who would do anything to survive. Looking at it from another angle, if these people had resources to boost their cultivation, they'd reach far greater heights than even inner disciples. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed, muttering, "Does that mean Xiaowuer threw me in here to first earn great merit for the sect?" "What did you say?" Elder Yuan stared. Zhuo Fan shook his head, "Nothing, I was only lamenting. These two are some mother-fluffing geniuses. It's such a waste letting them be stuck here and not higher up in the sect." "Yeah." Elder Yuan nodded. "By the way, what were their crimes?" Zhuo Fan continued, but Elder Yuan's response was cut short. Russell Tilda. The moon hanging in the night sky draped the land in a silver curtain, revealing a delicate figure dancing among the stars with her blade tracing bizarre arches. Zhuo Fan watched the dazed figure, like a fairy, and clapped with a smile. Such exquisite swordsmanship, Miss Yua. The graceful figure stopped and Yua's fine features turned icy. She ignored Zhuo Fan, looking elsewhere. Her cultivation had to stop when Zhuo Fan's coring resumed. "Miss Yua, what a coincidence. Have you been punished as well since you've come here?" Stumbling, Yua turned a hateful glare. "You're the one punish." "True, I am in the labor office." Zhuo Fan answered with a smile. Yua was lost for words, gnashing her teeth. Elder Yuan was giggling at the side. "Yua mocked in the end. When you arrived, you said you'd be an elite, but sect leader didn't even let you in the hall, throwing you in the labor office. You only know how to boast. How did you know that I didn't enter the hall? Were you looking out for me? I didn't know you cared." Zhuo Fan chuckled. Yua flushed and raged. "Who would? Everyone knows about your scandal now. You're the first person to not even get to see the sect leader before getting dumped in the labor office." "I see." Zhuo Fan's eyes glinted. He was sure someone was keeping an eye on him when he entered the sect. There was no way that a common disciple's matter would spread otherwise, not so fast at least, but he reckoned all of this stopped the moment he was placed in the labor office, or with how the labor office was filled with all kinds of people. There was no way he wouldn't detect something after so many days. Zhuo Fan smiled. "Miss Yua, did perhaps senior sister Maya miss me as well?" Senior sister didn't care one. Yua caught herself and blushed harder. Zhuo Fan had played her again and she was irate. "I don't care about you." "Ha ha ha." Elder Yuan laughed. "Zhuo Fan is just like the rumors say, cunning and sly. An ignorant miss won't stand a chance." It was the worst possible reaction as Yua's eyes flashed with bloodthirst and she slashed at them. Since she was put on the spot, Elder Yuan cowered behind Zhuo Fan on the double while Zhuo Fan just stood there, grabbing her soft wrists before the blade touched him. She cried out as the blade fell from her grip and she frowned. Zhuo Fan let her go at once. "I've barely used any strength, so how could it hurt? Don't tell me you're still wounded from last time." "None of your business." Yua huffed. Just then, another cute voice came. "How dare you mess with my sister?" Chapter 528, Mission. Chapter 528, Mission. The wind whistled in the biting cold gale. A figure in red landed, keeping Yua behind her. Zhuo Fan found her to be none other than twisted-faced Rakshasa Yu Ling. Zhuo Fan was taken aback. "She's your little sister?" Yu Ling burst with bloodthirst. "I don't care who protects you, but you've messed with my sister and must die. You're not the first prattling fool who has said that to me, nor the last." Zhuo Fan snorted. Yu Ling's fists tightened, her mood sinking lower, yet her determination to attack faltered. She couldn't believe that a 6th-7th layer of profound heaven cultivator would dare talk back to a third layer of radiant stage expert. It only meant one thing. He's got strong enough backing to ignore even the likes of twisted-faced Rakshasa. It would be all too easy to kill the punk here and now, but then she wouldn't be alone in this mess. Her little sister would suffer too, so her thirst for blood ebbed. Elder Yuan jumped in with a smile. Miss Yu Ling, it's all just a misunderstanding. Miss Yue was practicing while we passed by. There's no conflict here. Zhuo Fan was just praising her form. Right, Miss Yue, ha ha ha. Elder Yuan begged Yue with his eyes. Is it true, Yue? Yu Ling turned around. She didn't want to cause trouble over nothing. But if the punk did it on purpose, he'll get justice all right. Yue glared at Zhuo Fan but nodded. They didn't do anything. It was I who attacked first. Zhuo Fan nodded inside. The lass is stubborn, but simple, doing everything by the book. How admirable. But Yu Ling was unreasonable. That must mean he instigated you. Humph, damn brat, this isn't over, not by a long shot. Yu Ling pulled Yue away as she warned, no one in this place is good, Yue. Better stay away from that guy. If anything happens, come find me or senior sister Maya, alright? Yes, sister. Yue was meek as a lamb, but on her way away, she sneaked a glance at Zhuo Fan, scrunched up her cute button nose and stuck her tongue at him. Zhuo Fan was speechless. Hey, is this how it's done? Her sister is to blame yet she takes it out on me. There's no justice in the world, only the strong preying on the weak. Elder Yuan sighed like a calamity had passed, and Yu Ling has only let this go because she didn't know of your backing. But you better watch out for her tricks. Zhuo Fan shook his head. How could I forget? This is a demonic sect and anyone can attack without excuse or warning. While outside, no matter how much one hates you, he needs a pretext if he doesn't want a bad name. Elder Yuan, was Yu Ling gathering materials for Miss Yue? Zhuo Fan frowned. Elder Yuan nodded. Yu Ling is called Rakshasa, with a nasty temper and vile tendencies, but always dotes on her little sister. It was because of Yue that she ended up in the labor office. Her little sister had poor talent and would have ended up in the labor office, so she stole a 7th grade pill from the alchemy office to remold her sister's body, leading to today's Yue and the punished Yu Ling, who had the makings of an elite. Oh, she's quite fond of her baby sister, huh? Zhuo Fan nodded and sighed, but her kindness is destructive. Why? Elder Yuan frowned. Zhuo Fan paused. I heard Yue trains in the demon-devouring saber. The crux of it lies in the demon-devouring, swallowing thousands of demonic auras and grudges to increase the blade art's power and triggering the demons of the users. It would go as far as being able to kill everything in one's path. A shame. What? A shame for Yue's poor condition. Zhuo Fan shook his head. Training in her state would have her demons swallow her into madness and she will fall apart. Sigh, Yu Ling is sure to regret it. Just that her twisted hand should have been healed with a simple pill, so why isn't it healed after 2 days? Elder Yuan frowned as he caressed his beard, his eyes flashing. Why didn't you say anything? After they yelled in my face, die in this or that way? I couldn't care less about their fate. Zhuo Fan twisted his head away. Elder Yuan shook his head. From your analysis, I figured you cared a lot. For them. We have nothing tying us, so why should I? I'm no love-struck fool. Zhuo Fan snorted. I only found it suspicious. I fear the only peaceful place in the sect will lose its tranquility. Elder Yuan smiled. Zhuo Fan, this is the labor office, the cruelest place in the sect. How is it peaceful? Elder Yuan, you won't understand. Here it is either kill or be killed, live or die. Isn't this simple interaction peaceful? With the schemes and plots outside, where would you find another place like this? Elder Yuan held his gaze, then smiled. So Zhuo has great insight. You're right, this place is pretty peaceful, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan laughed along as they walked. They discussed on the way about Dao and its mysteries and clicked together, wishing they'd met earlier. Zhuo Fan had earned big time from their talks, but so did Elder Yuan in this night. The hearts of these two had grown, widening their path into a longer future. On the morrow, Zhuo Fan finished cultivating only to find a panicking Elder Yuan bursting in. Zhuo Fan, come with me. Another gathering? I didn't hear any bells. Zhuo Fan asked. Azura Circle was just last night, yet it's starting again? If they keep this up, the entire labor office will be empty in 3 days. Azura Circle can't start whenever. They won't dare do it so soon. But as this is the labor office, work begins early in the morning and you need to sweep the elders' and venerables' homes. How come I didn't do that the first 2 days here? Zhuo Fan eyed him. Elder Yuan rolled his eyes. I covered for you. But after last night's Azura circle, I can no longer help you. And that Yu Ling must have put your name in for revenge. She has the authority. Aren't you the chief here? Hey, I told you already, I am only chief on the surface. Here, power is everything. Elder Yuan lamented, I can't force you with my meager cultivation, so please don't make it hard on me. Zhuo Fan shook his head and jumped out of bed. Since they were friends, there was no point taking it out on the old man. But on those broads. Snorting inside, Zhuo Fan followed Elder Yuan to a square with poor houses. Others had already gathered here, with Kuei Lang and Yu Ling standing in front. Seeing Zhuo Fan, Evione gave him a cold eye and bloodthirst. Zhuo Fan squinted, his mind ready. Now that everyone's here, we will assign tasks. Yu Ling took the roster from Elder Yuan. Zhong Fuguei, Li Yongchang, you're to clean Venerable Shi's room. Wang Tianlei, Zhong Mingqi, you're going to Elder Liang's bedroom. Everyone's name got called. The first three walked forward and bowed before taking a broom from the side as they skipped about. Zhuo Fan found it odd. What's there to be perky about when cleaning? Is there a reward involved? Soon, only Zhuo Fan's name remained unheard, with Yu Ling sporting a nasty grin. Zhuo Fan, take the broom and clean sect leader's bedroom. The other laborous cracked up, enjoying his plight. Zhuo Fan didn't get the joke. What's so funny? But since he wanted to go to sect leader's home at some point, this was the perfect chance. Xie Wuyue, just why the hell did you bring me here? You better have some good reason for this. Chapter 529, Seeing Xie Wuyue. Chapter 529, Seeing Xie Wuyue. Under the sun's glorious warmth, a youngster and an old man passed pavilions and many crossings to arrive at an opulent grand hall. Elder Yuan pointed at a magnificent roof and warned, Zhuo Fan, here are sect leaders' chambers, a total of 273 rooms. You must be very thorough in cleaning each of them. Blast it, 200. Did he ever use them all? Zhuo Fan grumbled. Elder Yuan waved his hands around and hushed him in panic. This is the prestige of a sect leader. Us, laborious, cannot make light of this or else. Elder Yuan put on a heavy look. Zhuo Fan got it. A demonic sect's leader was no pushover nor a kind grandpa. Anyone talking behind his back might soon find an untimely end. But yours truly was the exception, since Xie Wuyue had recruited him personally. Why go through all that trouble just to kill him out of pettiness? He'd fail as a sect leader. Zhuo Fan's mind worked to wring out how far he could push it. Fine, I'm going to work. Zhuo Fan walked to the hall with the broom. Elder Yuan panicked, pulling him back. Zhuo Fan, always remember, the sect leader is idiosyncratic and a clean freak. Sweep down to the last speck of dust. Getting sect leader unhappy would make our heads roll. Do you know why the others were so happy to go to the other elders' houses? Because they didn't want to clean sect leader's house. Yu Ling gave it to you on purpose, to have sect leader remove you in her place. You must exercise caution at all times, your life depends on it. Oh, thanks for the reminder, Elder Yuan. Zhuo Fan nodded and cupped his hands. But showed no change in character, hanging the broom on his shoulder like before, strutting into the hall as if he had come to rob the place, not clean it. Elder Yuan's face twitched, the kid's too wild and fearless. In the building, gold and jade decorations welcomed him. At the far center was a jade-long chair, very expensive. There were wall chandeliers on each side, made with utmost attention to detail. The image was complete with stands holding exquisite vases, adding an air of elegance to sum it up. It was quaint, magnificent but not excessive, glorious but not ostentatious. It got Zhuo Fan's stamp of approval. From the style alone, he guessed Xie Wuyue was a man of mystery, keeping everything to himself. A cultivator with a high mentality cough. Zhuo Fan jerked and noticed a youth in silk and having cruel eyes looking back at him from the entrance. The youth was amazed the instant he saw his face. Zhuo Fan? Xie Wuyue? Eyebrow twitching, Zhuo Fan called back, grinning and nodding. Xie Wuyue passed him and sat on the jade chair. Ha ha ha, that's not quite right, but Zhuo Fan, since you're now in my sect, the least you should do is call me sect leader. Sect leader. Grinning back, this was Zhuo Fan's first time meeting Xie Wuyue in the flesh. Last time was just his soul, but he saw no features, just a shadow. May I ask, sect leader, after going through so much hard work, traveling thousands of miles to find me and paying a ninth-grade pill to recruit me, was it all just to have me sweep floors? Looking him in the eye, he lifted the broom and held it like a club, ready to go at it. Xie Wuyue chuckled, I would lose too much letting you just sweep for a ninth-grade pill. Tell me, where exactly do you look like a hard-working and conscious sweeper? Zhuo Fan checked himself and shook his head. He could sweep enemies, but failed to sweep floors. Laughing, Xie Wuyue turned serious. Zhuo Fan, I have brought you here with the intention to have you become an elite by being sect leader's disciple and represent the sect in the Double Dragon gathering. But High Venerable questioned your ability and had you put in the labor office for trial. I understand High Venerable's worries, but out of the elites, inner disciples, outer disciples, and labor office, did it have to be the worst one? I'm a 7th layer profound heaven cultivator for crying out loud, yet don't even qualify as an outer disciple. And what's that Double Dragon gathering anyway? It's too soon for you to know. As for High Venerable's decision, I am to blame. I've praised you so much that High Venerable grew skeptical and thus put you in the labor office. If you're that great, then you should be able to stand out even there. I thought the same, so I agreed. Since with your skills, getting great merit should be easy. Xie Wuyue snickered. Zhuo Fan's face twitched all this while, flipping, shove it. At least give me something to work with. How am I supposed to get merit without some guidelines? With how detached labor office is from the rest, I won't achieve anything. Besides, the merit of strengthening Laborus falls on you Ling and Kue Lang. What am I supposed to do? It's all in your hands now to figure out, to prove to the whole sect what you can do. If you can't surpass even those two, you'll be stuck in the labor office forever. He brushed off his impeccable sleeves, and stopped spouting vulgarities in front of me. This will be your only warning. The next time you'll be sorry. Got that? Freakin' show off. Scratching his nose, Zhuo Fan nodded. Yeah. Great, now start sweeping. I want to see for myself if you're qualified for labor. Xie Wuyue snickered. This grand and mighty arriviste, the same one that cleaned up Tianyu of all factions and was hailed as best in the empire, was sweeping floors. Xie Wuyue giggled inside. Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes, grumbled inside, and the broom flew from his shoulder, releasing a gale. A yellow wave spread from his foot along the floor with crazy speed. In an instant, the dust picked up so much it was like a tornado got stuffed in the hall. Cough. Xie Wuyue covered his mouth and nose while shouting, Enough, stop this instant, do you hear me? What could possibly be wrong, sect leader? Zhuo Fan halted and the tornado vanished. Xie Wuyue glared, a vein popping on his forehead. You did that on purpose. Is this how you sweep? You're looking for a beating. Is it not? But it's clean. Zhuo Fan pointed below him with a straight face. It was damn spotless, without the slightest grain of dust on the paved floor. But the earlier blue stones had now turned white. Eyebrow twitching, Xie Wuyue balled his fists. You're only alive because I have great plans for you. Fine, now stop sweeping and do something else. Zhuo Fan was too obedient, spinning on his heel and leaving. Yet he only took a step and heard a crisp sound. Holding the broom under his arm, it accidentally hit a vase, now turned to pieces. Xie Wuyue held his head in annoyance. Zhuo Fan waved his hands. Sect leader, I'll fix it right up. He rushed to pick up the pieces, but the broom swung again under his arm and sent a jade carving flying, sending fragments all over the clean floor as it shattered. Xie Wuyue's eyebrow jumped, his eyes burning red hot, wishing nothing more than to tear Zhuo Fan into nothing. It's all right, sect leader, I'll handle it. Zhuo Fan manned up, but Xie Wuyue had had enough. Handle your dumbass. You're only making it worse. Now scram the hell out. You're clearly here to pick a fight. Don't ever sweep again and figure out a way to get out of the labor office. Yes, sect leader. Zhuo Fan snickered inside. Skipping out of the hall, Xie Wuyue was left alone in his jade throne, watching him go, filled with rage. Turning to the pristine floor, now filled with rubble, his wrath knew no bounds. Chapter 530, Patsy. Chapter 530, Patsy. Men. Xie Wuyue screeched, his eyes thick with bloodthirst. A short old man ran inside and shivered at the incoming killing intent. He rushed to greet, sect leader, why is Sir so angry? Are you blind or what? Can't you see the floor? Xie Wuyue snorted. The man looked around to find the once tidy sect leader hall filled with dust, chinas, and jade carvings on the ground in pieces. Shuddering to wipe his brow, he said, this. I do not. I will handle it right away. Wait. The guy rushed to find the culprit and hang him for his crimes, lest the sect leader took his anger out himself, but Siawua wasn't through by a long shot, barking, "You don't have to go, I know who did it." Sect leader knows. The man's brain was all a mush. With your temper, you should have executed him by now. I should be here to fetch his corpse, but where is it? The guy looked everywhere. Siawua knew what he was thinking and said, "A laborer came here to sweep. Yeah, those wastes must be at fault. God damn it, they are so stupid that they even broke sect leader's stuff." The old man fumed and cut Siawua off. "Sect leader, I will look into it and bring back the culprit's head." He got up to leave again, but Siawua shouted, "Get back here. I didn't ask you to leave, did I?" Faltering, the man lowered his head. "Sect leader, what would you ask of me? Stay right there and let me finish." Siawua stressed every word. The man bobbed like a chicken. Siawua continued, "The name of the laborer is Juafan. It's great that the sect leader knows his name. I'll go get him at once." The old-timer clapped and laughed, but Siawua's cold glare cut his joy short. He gave himself a couple of slaps until his cheeks swelled. Sect leader said not to move. "Sigh, I'm so careless." Siawua ignored this episode. Juafan is at fault, but no one can touch him. So get out there and find me the son of a bitch that put him on sweeping duty and waste him. Siawua's face was a mask of malice, his tone so icy. The old-timer shivered. What he got from the outburst though was, why skip the culprit and have his handler answer for it? This has never happened before. With this example, no one would ever send a sweeper to sect leader's home. They'd draw straws to decide, but since Siawua didn't explain, in no way was he going to ask, just bowed and walked backwards. Siawua was left alone again, among the rubbish, and his anger spiked in the labor office. The people were returning after completing their tasks to hand over the tools. Kuei Lang, Yu Ling and Elder Yuan took stock and found that out of all disciples, only Juafan was missing. Elder Yuan frowned with worry. Yu Ling and Kuei Lang had a twisted smile. The guy must be done for. Kuei Lang snickered. Yu Ling nodded, her eyes glinting. Sect leader has a vile temper, picky about everything. Many laborers failed to satisfy sect leader's demands and paid with their lives. The kid has just arrived and is going into sect leader's home, he's sure to flop. Hi, the kid won't be coming back. Everyone laughed, reveling in another's misfortune. Only Elder Yuan sighed. Yu Ling, "We can't do it ourselves because of the kid's backing, but getting on sect leader's bad side, he will end up dead all the same. No one in the demon scheming sect will make a peep. He contradicted his betters yesterday and now he is toast." Kuei Lang smiled at Yu Ling. Yu Ling nodded, but then, a thunderous shout came from above. They saw a small old man flying over. "All managers of the labor office, get out now. Isn't that executive son of the sect leader's hall?" Kuei Lang smiled. Yu Ling's smile grew. "The kid must have done it now. Executive usually just barks at us for a while, then sends us to fetch a corpse. That must be it." But was it a win or a loss getting yelled at for killing that prick? It's a loss for us and a win for the kid. Think about it, for a waste like him to get a radiant stage expert's tongue lashing must be his fortune. Ha ha ha. Kuei Lang laughed. Right, ha ha ha. The two laughed until Executive Son approached. Executive Son, you honor us with your presence. I am Yuan Shingang, a manager of the labor office. Sod off. You think I don't know who's in charge of labor office? You're just a glorified manager, that's it. Get Yu Ling and Kuei Lang to see me. Executive Son flicked his sleeve and snapped. Elder Yuan shirked back. Yu Ling and Kuei Lang rushed over with a bow. Greetings, Executive Sunday. What are your orders? Orders? Giving any orders to you will soon have my head served on a silver platter, dragging me with you into hell. Executive Son snapped. What kind of disciple did you send to sweep sect leader's hall? He didn't just botch it, but wrecked the place. He almost tore the whole hall apart. It is our fault. Please ease your anger, Executive Son. Kuei Lang and Yu Ling bobbed their heads, putting on a pained look, yet their hearts jumped with glee. The punk must have struck a calamity. He's definitely toast. Yu Ling apologized again, then probed. Executive Son, We will deal with his body at once and clean up the hall. His body. I didn't say anything about a corpse. Executive Sun eyed them coldly. The two were stumped. Did the sect leader wipe him off the face of this world? Squinting in joy, Yu Ling added. Executive Sun sneered. Keep dreaming. The kid ran. He's not in the sect leader's hall. He ran. Both of them shouted. He got off after such a disaster. That punk sure is something. Kuei Lang bowed at once. Executive Sun, he can't escape. I will search the entire sect if I have to. We cannot trouble inner and outer disciples over this. Search. When sect leader himself let him run? Sect leader doesn't even blame him for his mistake. Executive Sun roared. Dawn. Yu Ling and Kuei Lang's brains were hammered, looking lost and dumb. He wrecked everything, yet sect leader let him go. That's not his style. Executive Sun saw through them with a sneer. Even I couldn't believe it after so many years around sect leader. But this is sect leader's order, that no one can touch Shuafan. And who was the damn bastard who put him on sweeping duty at sect leader's home? Sect leader wants a punching bag. Executive Sun's bloodthirst slammed into them. Shivering, Yu Ling and Kuei Lang were soaked in sweat. Zhong Fuguei, I thought I told you to sweep sect leader's home. Why did you make Shuafan do it instead? Kuei Lang's eyes roamed around until they settled on a disciple. Zhong Fuguei shirked, scared out of his mind. No, I swept Venerable Sha. Silence. I told you to sweep sect leader's home, yet you put Shuafan on it. Don't you know that the more seasoned disciples must take care of it? A newbie like him was bound to wreck the place. You are pushing others around and got sect leader furious. For your offense, you shall die. Bam. Kuei Lang dumped all kinds of crimes on his head and struck before he could explain. The fierce gale made him spit blood and breathe his last, becoming Kuei Lang and Yu Ling's patsy. He didn't know even now how he had earned their ire, what he did to deserve this. Chapter 531, Special Background. Chapter 531, Special Background. Bang. Zhong Fuguei's corpse hit the ground with blood leaking from every hole, his eyes wide open and oblivious. The other disciples stepped back, shivering in fear. Kuei Lang bowed at Executive Sun again. Executive Sir, I have dealt with the perpetrator. What are Sir's commands? Executive Sun was an old weasel as well, knowing when not to question, and just warned. Kuei Lang, Yu Ling, I don't care about what personal game you're playing, but stay out of the sect's affairs, or else. Executive Sun left the threat hanging with savage killing intent, making the two bob their heads in fear also. Executive Sun continued, in my decade alongside sect leader, I hardly ever saw him raging like this. But even rarer was a rage that he bottled up. That Shuafan may be a laborer, but you better watch it next time. The two's hearts sank, grimacing. Who the hell is he for not even sect leader would touch him? This is a small matter, but from the sect leader's attitude. The two felt even worse. Executive Sun flicked his sleeve. Since the culprit is punished, I'll be reporting my progress. You better behave. Executive Sun took to the skies. The two bowed again. Take care, Executive Sun. They only straightened when the man was gone from their sights. Their eyes filled with shock. Elder Yuan came over giggling. Hey, I told you so. Shuafan isn't normal. Shove off. The two snapped. Elder Yuan shirked and faltered. The two dealt with the corpse and the other disciples disbanded, waiting around the labor office for Shuafan to arrive. They waited and waited, well into the evening. That was when Shuafan strutted over with the broom on his shoulder. Yu Ling gnashed her teeth. Enraged, Shuafan, now you show up? Where have you been? Don't you know you must return after your task? Nope, no one told me. Shuafan said simply. Yu Ling felt awkward. Her and Kuei Lang lost for words. They had put him on sect leader's home with the obvious intention to not see him again. Wasting words on a dead guy wasn't anyone's hobby, yet this schmuck didn't just return, but even talked back. He's got such backing that not even the sect leader wants to mess with him. The two watched Shuafan with fear and suspicion. They were dying to put him in his place, but the fear of his backers overwrote that desire. So the two were at an impasse, staring at the stuck-up Shuafan showing off his swag. Bottling the rage, Kuei Lang said, since it's your first strike and did not know, I'll overlook it. But next time you will be punished. The fact that he didn't take Shuafan's head on the spot showed clearly that he didn't want to mess with Shuafan. Shuafan grinned. They must have got the news all ready to crush their own pride. But Shuofan cared not one bit. Sure, I'll be waiting then. He passed the two with a roll of his eyes, not even looking at them. Hey, is this how you act? You're under us, a laborer, yet you're ordering us? Kuei Lang was this close to exploding. Yu Ling glared at his back, but reined all the hatred in. Kuei Lang, he has a special background. Before we are clear what that is exactly, we best not tackle him. We will figure it all out once we look into him. Kuei Lang nodded, flaring his nostrils. While the next tasks were handed out, only Shuofan was left idle since no one pushed any work on him when it came to elders. This young master must have one hell of a background to act all cocky. What was worse, anything the two tried would backfire. The earlier case showed it. They got him to sweep sect leaders home, yet he played around until sect leader vented on the labor office. If they were any more late in reacting, they'd have ended up as patsies. Yu Ling lost all intent to mess with Shuofan, even hoping for the latter to not come looking for trouble. It went so far that every time tasks were handed out, they singled Shuofan out in cleaning the most desolate places. Like the ancestral cemetery, the plaza at the entrance manned by two pupils welcoming guests, stuff like that. Those were the only places he couldn't cause trouble at, or any mess he made could be covered. Shuofan spent the next 2 months carefree and easygoing, totally ignoring Xiaowu's advice. As for getting some credit to participate in the Double Dragon Thingy, thanks but no thanks. He had all the peace and quiet needed to cultivate here, in the labor office. Strutting like a man with a supposedly high background, others gave him a wide berth. Only the old man with a broad mentality dropped by to debate on the Tao. All in all, life was good, lavishing in the tranquility he had yearned for so long. As for the labor office being dirt poor in regards to resources, humph, make way, moneybags coming through. Shuofan couldn't be happier these few months, just around the time the demon scheming sect's inner sect promotion began. Not that he ever gave a damn. Ahem, it falls to us, labor office, to build the outer disciple promotion stage. Work hard, people. If 3 days later something is out of place and the competition can't be held, it's your ass on the line. Kuei Lang, Yu Ling and Elder Yuan spoke to the laborers. Kuei Lang was using his big voice to intimidate them. What he got instead was mockery. They are just fighting. What's the point of making a show out of it? Are outer disciples so useless that they can't fight without a stage? Our Azura circle is far more fitting. The others covered their mouths. Everyone knew who it was without even looking. The only one to contradict their two bosses in the labor office like a true wastrel was Shuofan, with his special background, so special that even these two prodigal children filled with hot air could only gnash their teeth. This had been going on over the past few months, quipping at them whenever the chance presented itself. Shuofan, stop complaining. Do you want to live or not? Kuei Lang fumed. Shuofan shrugged. Want. Kuei Lang looked like he was about to cry. He was the boss in the labor office, but ever since this prick showed up, his name had plunged and plunged at the hands of this obnoxious tyrant. He was a damn spoiled brat. Yu Ling held her head, lamenting her fate. She never nitpicked with the kid, but the brat had other plans, bothering the hell out of them every time and pissing them off. Just why do all elders and venerables' prodigal sons end up in the labor office? At least take some of them to the outer sect. But they all knew this prodigal son would one day get bumped up at some point and leave. But when, in a few years? Anything would be better than being stuck in the same place with him. Squinting, they glared at the unfazed Shuofan, then sighed at their misfortune. Elder Yuan laughed it up. Dad. Sister. The two sudden voices caught everyone by surprise. They watched two young people rushing over. One was a lovely girl Shuofan knew, Yua, and the other was a youth in his 20s wearing fancy clothes and bearing a striking resemblance with Kuei Lang. His son, probably. Yua and Kuei Lang smiled on seeing each other, but Shuofan eyed the limp hand of Yua with a sharp look. Still damaged? Chapter 532, Dangerous Smile. Chapter 532, Dangerous Smile. Yua, how is your practice of demon-devouring saber going? Are you confident in this outer sect promotion? Yu Ling smiled at her baby sister. Faltering for a moment, Yua revealed a disarming smile. It won't be a problem. Nearby, Kuei Lang was patting his son's shoulder, laughing. You better become an inner disciple in this competition, or all your old man's effort would be for naught. Dad, I won't let you down. The youth's eyes showed conviction. Kuei Lang smiled in pride. With Yu Ling, who do you think will win if my son and your sister fight? Kuei Lang raised an eyebrow. Yu Ling held supreme confidence. You, of course. No, it's my son. He's stronger. Kuei Lang shook his head. Yu Ling glared. My sister. My son. Sister. The two went back and forth, with the argument getting heated by the second. While Yue and the youth just shrugged, the outer sect competition is around the corner and you're squabbling as if you're the one going up there. Zhuo Fan crept up on them like a ghost, saying, it's more likely to end as a draw. No one's really better than the other, they're equal. Right. The two focused their anger on Zhuo Fan, shouting, beat it. Shirking, Zhuo Fan grinned and walked away. Kuei Lang glared. Zhuo Fan, what a rotten mouth you have. My son is about to enter the competition, yet you have nothing nice to say? Are you mocking him instead, hoping that he would lose? If anything happens to Yue, you will be sorry. Yu Ling's eyes grew savage like a tigress, baring her fangs. Zhuo Fan shrugged, not my problem. And you started it. In the competition, it is either win-lose, lose-win, or draw. How could they have a smooth sailing? Oh. They were left speechless, resorting to snorts and flicking their sleeves. Zhuo Fan, you sure pack a sharp mouth. Kuei Lang sighed, feeling powerless. This punk would one day kill me due to anger alone. Yue pouted and sulked. I get that he always annoys me every time we meet, but why is sister enraged too? While the young man was dumbfounded at the weird scene, his old man was pretty well known even among the inner sect. Ending up cast out in the labor office ought to make him king. But who was this guy with clearly weaker cultivation, to talk back to his dad? And why isn't dad doing anything about it? This situation stinks to high heaven. Looking at the cringing Laborus standing in line, only Zhuo Fan did what he wanted, to perform his circus act as a mockery to these two leaders. It only worked to deepen his doubts though. Dad, he is. The youth pointed at Zhuo Fan. Kuei Lang groaned, to which Zhuo Fan laughed and stuck out his chest. I am your father's fellow disciple, Zhuo Fan. Since you're his son, call me Senior Uncle Zhuo for now. Senior Uncle Zhuo, I am Kuei Gang, greetings. The kid got intimidated and responded quickly while Kuei Lang rushed over and helped his son up while cursing. Ganger, you can't be so naive to get duped so easily. This punk is some prodigal son for sure. But he has nothing to do with me at all, so how can you call him Senior Uncle? Kuei Lang glared at Zhuo Fan. Rotten punk, I can take your crass remarks and quips but know when to quit. Don't ever mess with my son. So what if I call you my fellow brother? It is your honor. When your son comes crying to his uncle, I might just ignore him. Zhuo Fan shrugged with a grin that deserved a beating. Kuei Lang was about to blow a gasket, yet had no way to vent. Kuei Gang was dumbstruck. Why all the mockery then, if the young guy wasn't his dad's fellow disciple? How can dad still take it? The Laborus knew fully well why, snickering inside and giving Zhuo Fan a thumbs up on the sly. Zhuo Fan's background was a huge nebula, but at least this prodigal son wasn't hard on fellow Laborus, taking it out on the two bosses. It was like he was the labor office's spokesman. Kuei Lang pulled Kuei Gang, pointing at Zhuo Fan with a hard face. Ganger, see that, he is a nobody, using his connections to get into the sect. He might one day end up an elder executive, but he won't achieve anything in life. So don't hang out with the likes of him, he'll drag you down. You're bound to go higher than him. Yu Ling did the same with her sister, wearing her disgust on her face while pointing at Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan became the two's perfect negative example. Zhuo Fan grinned uncaringly. So what if I'm a prodigal son, aren't you the same, using your meager pull to give your connections, materials to train? Humph, there's no end to human greed. With power comes skimming, it's only logical. What would be the point of power then? You're mocking me for being a prodigal son when in fact you want to follow in my footsteps and pick on others. We're all demonic cultivators here, what's so great about showing off while faking innocence? Zhuo Fan had a flat tone, but no matter how it sounded, he had mocked the two Kuei Gang and Yue nodded. Zhuo Fan's wording was a tad blunt, but made damn good sense. They had to believe him. The more you hate someone, the more you want to be like them. But no one wanted to admit their envy. Humph, enough of your sophistry. Yue and Ganger have good talents and are hard-working. They're sure to advance. All we do is give our best in supporting them. Unlike you, wasting your life away as you wait for death, stuck in the same dead-end position. You don't know any martial arts, and the only reason you lived through Azura Circle is because of your high cultivation. I bet you'd sooner meet your end in the circle before your patron busts you out of here. Kuei Lang shouted, trying to salvage a modicum of self-respect. Zhuo Fan only had a taunting look. Ignorant man, martial skills are only tools while cultivation is the core. I know no martial arts, but my heart and my mind are solely on the Tao, helping me see through its mysteries and advance. Insight is the essence of cultivation, of skills and cultivation methods. Focusing on being staunch yet neglecting fundamentals is so laughable. Kuei Lang paused, then shouted, Zhuo Fan, what did you say? I didn't catch that. Dong. The minds of everyone exploded, wearing long faces and holding their heads at his awkward look. Kuei Gang was blushing in shame. Dad sucks at quarreling, not even getting what the other party says. Then again, that was who he was, a guy who relied on his fists. Alas, he couldn't use them this time. Elder Yuan sighed. The disciples of this sect always fought and were ruthless, emphasizing ability over Tao. For even a radiant stage expert like Kuei Lang to be so ignorant of the Tao, he could only lament if this went on. Demon scheming sect would be stuck in the lower three sects for thousands of years. Yet Zhuo Fan, who had come from the secular world, had amazing insights on Tao. Him leading the sect would move the sect down the right path, towards a glorious future. Elder Yuan's eyes shined. Oh, what's all the hubbub? Why are laborious sitting around idle? A teasing voice said. They all turned to see an elegant woman swinging her hips. With how the labor office was filled with men, they all gulped at such a fine specimen entering their pen only to lower their heads the next second. Because this creature was another savage beast, she was no other than who Maya. Zhuo Fan sneered inside, her kind smile only hides daggers. The last time she showed up, he ended up getting sneak attacked, and this time something was bound to happen as well. Only the target isn't me this time around. Zhuo Fan followed her vixen eyes and arrived at Yu Ling and her sister. Chapter 533, Nimble Labora. Chapter 533, Nimble Labora. Senior Sister Maya, it's been a while. Yu Ling cupped her hands, coming over with her sister. Thank you for watching over Yua while I was away. I can never repay your gratitude. With a melodious voice, who Maya waved her off, we're all sisters here. Oh, Yua, how is your practice going? Senior Sister, I am now proficient. Yua cupped her hands landing her hand hard on Yua's shoulder. Maya spoke her earnest feelings. Yua, you must work hard. Look how much your sister has done for you. You can't let all her efforts go to waste. You must advance. Yua frowned in pain, but her face hardened with a nod. Maya's eyes glinted and beamed. Yu Ling smiled as well, happy that Yua was taken care of. Zhuo Fan watched from afar with sharp eyes. Oh, Ganger, how is your blood annihilation training going? Maya turned to Kuei Gang with the most caring look. Kuei Gang nodded. Good, I've been making great progress these days, Senior Aunt Maya. I will definitely advance. Maya's smile turned sinister. Kuei Lang brought his son over. Junior Sister Maya, it is all thanks to you that Ganger has such confidence in the competition, for giving us the blood annihilation martial art only the inner sect disciples can access. With me and Yu Ling cast out, we are blessed to have you, even using your chance to enter the scripture hall for us. Thank you. Senior brother, we've always been fellow disciples and that will never change. Of course I'd help. With you in trouble, I of course had to stick out for the juniors like a senior aunt. Maya smiled. Kuei Lang was touched to tears. She is one of the few reliable people in the sect. Ganger, here is the 5th grade spirit blood pill. When you feel like your time in the competition is too hard, take it and I assure you you'll soar. It works well with blood annihilation, doubling its effect. Maya's enchanting smile came out as she presented a vial. Kuei Gang trembled with gratitude and was filled with excitement. This pill was what he needed the most. A 5th grade pill was a rarity for outer disciples, even more so were the pills for the battlefield. He might not just pass the promotion, but even attract an elder's attention. Kuei Lang was touched to the core. Maya, you're like a mother to him. Senior brother, please, don't say that. Maya blushed and Kuei Lang chuckled. The audience watched with envy. With her care, Yua and Kuei Gang are bound to become inner disciples, following in their father and sister's glory. Unlike them who were stuck in this hellhole for all their lives, fighting for their lives in the Azura Circle just to survive a little while longer. Senior brother, junior sister, I'll let you finish the stage. I wouldn't want to delay you in case you end up getting chided. Yua and Ganger, work had you too. Don't always stay at your dad and sister's side, you're all so big now, hi. Maya smiled, batted her eyes and flew away. Yua and Kuei Gang were happy to have her. Yu Ling and Kuei Lang were grateful as well. Only Zhuo Fan popped up next to them with a sour tone. That sister is too mean, leaving without even looking at me. To think that she was luring me so hard when I just got here, but now that I've hit rock bottom, she only cares about herself. Humph. What did you say? All four glared at him. No one would accept someone speaking ill of their friend. Zhuo Fan faltered back and snorted. You won't believe me, but I'm a good judge of character. She is no angel, that's for sure. She's only helping you to further her games. Seeing we're all companions in the labor office, let me remind you, you never truly know a person. Shut your pie hole. Kuei Lang snapped. I know the inner sect is filled with cruel and petty people who sow dissent like you. Right is right and demonic is demonic. The demon scheming sect still cares about right and wrong. We once helped junior sister Maya and now she is repaying it. So stop your false accusations, you ignorant fool. Squinting, Zhuo Fan had a feeling what was about to happen and sighed. Nourishing a viper in one's bosom, he can't even see it, and fell for it as well. Such schemes were the order of the day in a demonic sect. It wasn't just idiotic but utterly laughable to believe the other party would return the favor in kind. The sorrow brought back memories of his self-destruction in the sacred domain. He stepped closer with a respectful look. Making the 4 days then, he reached for Kuei Gang's hand and squeezed SSS tilde. Kuei Gang felt a searing pain shooting through his heart. What are you doing? Kuei Lang broke them off, glaring with hatred at Zhuo Fan, but was more shocked than ever. There was close to a full stage difference, yet he couldn't pick on Zhuo Fan's intent to attack his son, having it happen right under his nose. He felt fear and dread. Zhuo Fan's every move was shrouded in mystery. Uncaring of the audience, Zhuo Fan stared into Kuei Gang's eyes. You have trained in blood annihilation for half a year, right? Around 4 months. Zhuo Fan's hard gaze left no room for non-compliance. He was baffled by his reply as well. Why did I answer this prodigal son? Zhuo Fan nodded. Boy, uncle here will give you a warning. Don't force it or you will soon live to regret it. Kuei Gang shuddered. The words had mystical power, compelling them to take heed. As if the dire consequence was bound to become reality if the warning was ignored. It goes the same for you. Remember this. Zhuo Fan eyed Yua. Yua stared blankly. Yu Ling shouted and glared. Get lost, my baby sister is about to enter the competition. How can you say that? You don't have to help us set up the stage, so go to the cemetery behind the mountain. Guard it. I don't want to see you for a month. No matter who has your back, in here, you still have to answer to us. So go to the cemetery, now. Kuei Lang glowered as well. Zhuo Fan left without a word, but with a cold smile, but then his snide reply pierced their ears. Proceed at your own risk. Your death is on you. Yu Ling and Kuei Lang glared at his back, but their relatives pondered over his wise words. They felt Zhuo Fan was hinting at something. It was his way of helping Yua. You know him, he likes messing around. So don't listen to him. Yu Ling urged, you must give your all for the promotion. Kuei Lang nodded as well, looking at the two's hopeful gaze. The kids felt at ease. If they failed to be promoted, how could they ever repay their father and sister's efforts? Thus, Zhuo Fan's warning was thrown out of the window. 3 days later, the outer sect promotion was in full swing, with everyone buzzing. Except the labor office, since it was the worst place in the sect, having no right to even see it. Yu Ling and Kuei Lang grew tense, waiting for the good news from their son and babysitter. No matter how sure they were that their kids could do it, they still wanted to know. Relax, they will surely win. But what about Zhuo Fan? When will you let him come back? The thick yin atmosphere over there isn't good for prolonged stay. Elder Yuan consoled on one hand and pleaded Zhuo Fan's case on the other. Yu Ling glared. I wish he'd rot in there, but I have no choice but to call him back in fear of the sect's investigation. Elder Yuan sighed. Just then, a shout came from outside. Labor office's leaders, come out, you have a newcomer. Elder Yuan ran over, but then he shouted, Yu Ling, it's your sister. Yu Ling paled from fright and rushed over. She saw her baby sister soaked in blood and barely breathing. The man at her side stated, "Outer disciple Yua received heavy wounds in the promotion contest. Her meridians are broken, she is a reject now, and is being transferred to the labor office." Chapter 534, Taking It Out on Zhuofan. Chapter 534, Taking It Out on Zhuofan. The man's voice felt like daggers sinking into Yu Ling, yet the man had no sympathy. Leaving as he came, cold and callous, Elder Yuan begged, "Executive sir, what happened? Doesn't failing the promotion mean being eliminated from the competition? Why has she been sent here?" The executive snorted, "It is true that losing doesn't warrant being sent here, but this girl's meridians are shot and she can't stay in the outer sect anymore. Where else are we to throw our waste if not here in this dump? Besides, don't you have that Azura circle? The least she could do is be a good material for the sect." "What did you say?" Yu Ling was outraged, exploding with power and charging at him. Her red eyes showed clearly that her mind was consumed by fury. Kuei Lang grabbed her and struggled. "Yu Ling, calm down. Do you want your soul pulverized?" Yu Ling's reason returned and her heart cooled. The executive sneered, "You're all criminals, even though stronger than me, you still have to stand and watch. Disrespect your betters and see how the sect's rules will put you in your place. Damn prodigal." Kuei Lang fumed, but hid his anger behind a straight face and a bow. They knew this executive well, a fellow disciple. Because of his dad being an elder, unable to advance to the inner sect, he lived in the outer sect and became an executive. His talent was so poor that he would never go beyond the second layer of radiant stage. Kuei Lang and Yu Ling only had disdain for this wastrel, but even more fear. "Forgive me, executive sir, I was rash and forgot my manners. I only wish to understand how my baby sister ended up so hurt in the competition. I ask that executive would clarify." Yu Ling bowed and cupped her hands. The executive mocked, "Why, for revenge? Give up. A sinner like you has no right to touch anyone outside the labor office, or face the sect's ultimate punishment. But my sister is crushed and her life is ruined. For the other party to be so heavy-handed, they must have done it on purpose. How could I, twisted-faced Rakshasa, just let it go?" Yu Ling raged. Everyone around her felt a chill from the depths of her wrath. Kuei Lang was about to stop her, but sighed. The executive pondered but still refused. "It's not hard to find the identity of her opponent, but I warn you to let it go. Because what happened to your sister is all due to herself." "How can you say that?" Yu Ling was stunned. The executive said, "Everyone watching the competition saw your sister exhibit tremendous power with the demon-devouring saber, even scaring her opponent. But the savage energy ran out of control and she received a backlash, resulting in her wretched state. So there's no need to feel hatred for the other. It lies with your sister's unskilled use of the art." What? How? Yu Ling couldn't believe her ears that Yua had done it to herself and slumped to the ground from shock. Now that she had no one to vent to for her baby sister's miserable state, she was left alone with rage and hatred festering inside at her dull gaze. The others shook their heads. "Yua, why didn't you tell me that you couldn't control the savage energy? I wouldn't have given you so many materials." Yu Ling bawled next to the prone Yua. The others nodded. "Yeah, you should have said something and these two big shots wouldn't have started an Azura circle, killing so many for your sake. So many died, and for what? For you to suffer a backlash? Damn brat, no sense of propriety and lacking morals. A shame for all those wasted materials." Reaching a shaky hand for Yu Ling's finger, Yua's weary voice cut off the sobbing. "Sister, forgive me. I've let you down. It doesn't matter now." "But how did you?" Yu Ling was heartbroken, not knowing how to reprimand her. Yua was also crestfallen. "Sister, I had control of the demon-devouring saber, but then my arm was hurt." "Hurt?" Yu Ling cried. "Where? How? Who did it?" Yua's frail voice came. 2 months ago, I found Zhuofan's entry to the sect suspicious and attacked him. I hurt him and he hurt me, but my wound never recovered." Zhuofan, having the outlet she needed, Yu Ling roared, "You did this and now I'll make you pay. You've ruined my baby sister and I will cut you to ribbons." Kuei Lang exclaimed, "Yeah, didn't he warn us just before the competition? He knew something and didn't let on, or maybe he's behind it all, taking revenge on us. Yu Ling's eyes screamed bloody murder, utterly convinced that Zhuo Fan was to blame for Yue's pitiful state. Oh no. Kuei Lang facepalmed. Since he did this to Yue, that means my son, shit. Kuei Lang rushed for the competition when a light flew at them. Whoosh. A grey robe appeared, throwing what he held on the ground and barking, "Labor office, you have a newcomer, Ganger." The one dumped on the ground was his son and was just as wretched as Yue, bleeding all over. How could this happen? The previous executive watched over, stunned. The grey robe waved. Just what is going on today? That girl was the first and this kid is the second. Both collapsed from backlash the minute they let out a big move. And he even took a battle pill. The backlash was so strong it exploded his vessels. As a cripple, it's the labor office's problem now. So that's why. The previous executive nodded, sighing at the two kids. Unfortunate ending, such unnecessary risk when there's always next year's promotion. Why force it? Why risk your life? Look at me, I've been in the outer sect for 9 years yet still made out as an executive. Bullshit, that's all on your father. You did jack squat. All he got was rolled eyes. Zhuo Fan. Kuei Lang balled his fists and howled, "You ruined my son and I'll ruin you." The brat did it to Ganger too. Yu Ling frowned. Kuei Lang nodded. "Yu Ling, did you forget? 3 days ago, he put his hand on my son's arm. I didn't find anything bad about it, but he must have done something for sure. That punk is our greatest enemy." Yu Ling raged. "Kuei Lang, let's go rip his head and make bone meal out of him. Let's go." Kuei Lang shot to his feet and rushed for the cemetery with Yu Ling. Elder Yuan jumped in. "Wait, sirs, before we know how this happened, we shouldn't make rash decisions. Buzz off, no one in the sect is a saint, only enemies or allies." Shoving him aside, the two rushed on. Elder Yuan turned to the others. "Executive sirs, stop them please or things will get horrible. Zhuo Fan can't be touched." "Ah." The executives shook their heads. "What can we do?" Those are the Black Yama and twisted-faced Rakshasa who fought their way into the inner sect. We're not their match. Rules put us above them, but with how lost in rage they are, we will be the ones to suffer instead. Besides, this is the labor office's problem. We have done our part, goodbye." The two bolted away. Elder Yuan stomped and cursed, "Damn wastrels, all of them are useless. They don't care even when disciples are at each other's throats. Demon scheming sect will meet its end at their hands at some point." Elder Yuan had a pained expression. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.